The Bible. Is it hard to understand?
When it comes to reading the Bible, the first thing that comes to mind is the fact that this is the Word of God.
The seals have been broken, and the truth is here.
And when we go throughout the scriptures, when we go throughout extra biblical records, we find that the language that God employed, that He used to create the heavens and the earth, was the Hebrew language.
Christ said, I came for the lost sheep of the house of Israel. But yet no one, no religious leader, no religious church out there anywhere can now identify the 12 tribes of Israel. Can we? God is quite simple, but it seems as if man makes understanding Him hard.
What are those mysteries?
The truth of your book and the truth will make you free. The Hebrew and Bible Academy. You're invited.
Shalom, shalom. Come on in. Blessings.
The east is where we're from. The 12 tribes of Israel.
Come on in.
721 BC. The Assyrian king, he took us down, we fell.
The Assyrian king. Come on.
With the great escape we went through the Euphrates. The Lord held the water still. To a land where no mankind dwelt.
Come on in.
We went.
The 12 tribes of Israel.
Tribes of Israel. So we be Manasseh, the Cubans, Ephraim from Puerto Rico, and Valley from the Isles of Hawaii.
What?
The Lord is calling back Israel.
Come on in.
From Panama, the North American Indians,
It's going to be a good broadcast, brothers and sisters.
highest gathering Israel. The Arabs and Africans told us. At gunpoint. Together our wives and children then sold us. In the belly of these great ships we traveled in fear. By the rivers of Babylon we found our brothers here. Together us in Colombia. Reuben from Australia. Issachar, the Mexicans. Highest gathering Israel.
Come on in. That's right, brothers and sisters. The Most High is gathering Israel. I'm Elder Rawchaa of the Gathering of Christ Church here with our weekly podcast broadcast. And there's a lot we have in store between now and the spring. A lot we have in store, okay? In preparation, setting up churches in remote areas and areas that been waiting for a church for the longest. More baptisms in preparation for an eventual exodus, to tell you the truth. Shalom. Let me make sure, is my volume good out there, brothers and sisters, for you all? Yes? Is it good, my volume? Want to make sure. Blessings. There's a lot we're going to dive into tonight. There's a lot we're going to dive into. So let me make sure my volume is good before I bring Elder Lawya in. I'm going to tell you, we're living in some serious trying times. Serious trying times. All right, let's do this. All right, let's see, default. Let's go here. All right. Before I go into the topic, Elder Lawya, do me a favor. Can you say something real quick to make sure everything is good on your side?
Yes, sir. Shalom. Shalom.
All right. That's absolutely excellent. All right. Well, let's jump right in. Let's jump right in. Without any further ado, I would like to announce to my brothers and sisters that we are going into week 3 of your Hebrew and Bible Academy. The fall of the last empire. Up until now, I went into the creation of the universe from the beginning to the end. I touched on portals and tracing the serpent's seed to show everyone in this earth that Satan has an actual seed in the earth, actual. And most people believe that it's myth and all these others, but no, it's not myth at all. The fallen gods are real, okay? And they are to be judged. Many of them have been bound under certain pyramids, like the Great Pyramid. Osiris is Ozazel, the fallen god who led mankind towards evil and wickedness before the flood, which led to the Most High destroying the whole earth. On top of that, it wasn't enough for the children of Cain to teach straight wickedness and debauchery and sin against the God of all gods. On top of that, I tell you in Genesis 6, they began to intersplice sea animals with land creatures. All right, amphibious animals and all these others with land creatures with birds. And that's where you get your so-called prehistoric animals. Those animals didn't pop up no 100 billion years ago and all this garbage like they've been indoctrinating people with their false science in school. Let's make it clear, okay? Those animals were wicked, just like those who made them. They made them in their laboratories. All that science the science we see today is really ancient pre-flood science. Okay, there's nothing new under the sun, and we revealed it all in this academy up until the current. And now we're going to dive into post-flood information, starting with the promised seed this coming Sunday. Now we have brand new lessons we're going to dive into to show you Elon Musk and his technology and prove that he is an agent of Satan being utilized for his technology prowess, but it's all for dark science. It have nothing to do with what you think. It has everything to do with the control of this earth, him being used as an agent who'll step in place, that's right, to begin to implement the mark of the beast. We're going to be going into the path to the mark and all of that and the judgment of the gods in this particular academy. Now, let me go over some of what you can expect right here. Is World War III impending? Lord have mercy. How will this impact all of us? Well, we're going to talk about a little bit of that tonight, actually. But it all runs congruent with our academy. Election outcomes, war in the Middle East, hurricanes, earthquakes, truck driver strikes, all of that. And also this coming Sunday, we will have a live symposium guest. This live symposium guest will be Dr. Goodman. Dr. Goodman is coming in for about 30 to 40 minutes to give us some insight on what to do to take our health back. To take our health back. So preparation and all of that is a part of this academy, but we want to make sure we bring in Dr. Goodman, a great herbologist from the Carolina, South Carolina. He's going to come in and bestow a lot of his health wisdom on us. And we're going to also open it up where some of our academy members can come in and ask a few questions. Some of the questions that we're going to put on the table is number one, if we are suffering from so-called diabetes, high blood pressure, strokes, and all these others, which I believe is attached to a targeted attack to keep our people sick in the midst of this warfare. And I'm going to ask him if, usually sicknesses weigh on us, right? It destroys our quality of life. And I know he treat our people with all these particular ills as if black people are the only people that are suffering from all of these, but I digress. And I'm going to ask him, and he's going to answer, what are the starting points? What is the starting points for getting ourselves back to optimal health? Just say I'm in the worst shape of my life. Where's the starting point? What will motivate me to start? And what exactly should I be taking naturally on a regular basis, which can assist me into going into that optimum health we had in our youth? I'm going to ask him a question. I'm going to listen. None of us can change some of our bad habits. But if someone came to you with all these issues, what is the starting point? I'm going to ask him that question. Another question I'm going to ask him is, I'm going to ask, what natural herbs should our body consume daily? Every day, what is the minimum that we should have when it comes to which particular herb that can give us the proper nutrition we're lacking in our daily diets? And I'm just going to let him roll. I'm just going to let him roll. And I'm going to sit back, take my pen and pad, and write down everything, because guess what? None of us are too old to learn. And I'm going to sit back in the academy with you all and let the man operate and say what he needs to say. That's his expertise, because we are at a time where we need to get our health back as a people. We were once the most healthiest people on earth. And I believe that bioweapons have been aimed towards our people, have been aimed towards our bodies, and have been aimed towards our minds. I truly believe when white flight happened after desegregation, that because our schools were separated from the white people predominantly, that allowed the world powers to target us in these cities, to target us and do things to us that they weren't doing to the middle class and the poor on the outer skirts, who are getting the best schools, the best health care, the best education. Right? So we're going to talk about that and more this coming Sunday in our Hebrew and Bible Academy. Thank you, Elder Dell. Make sure you all are there. Go to historytimes.org. Prophecies unfolding like none. Breaking the scriptures down. You can totally understand the Bible in its proper context. Okay? Yes. And we're going to have some special guests down the line. But this week, Dr. Goodman. And guess what? I believe around week 5, we go into Islam. You know what we're going to do? We're going to invite a Muslim on to prove his case concerning why our people, or any people, should become or be a Muslim. Okay? And don't come with that word salad. Okay? We're not going to be here for you know what being a Muslim or Islam means. It means one whom submit. And we all submit. Christians submit. Catholics submit. So if you believe in God, technically you're a Muslim. No, you are a liar from the pits of hell. Because if it only mean that it's one whom submit, then you would leave that and learn what we're learning out of the Bible. So you have to watch the trickery and word salad that comes out of Muslims' mouth. So what we're going to do, we're going to bring a Muslim on when it's time to teach Islam and tell him state his case. And we're going to start with that rock over in Mecca. So get ready. We're going to have an open discussion. I'm bringing a Muslim on. And guess what? Let's go. Let's do it. I'm going to have the Quran on one side and the Bible on the other. Okay? And you know what? The Bible is going to win. Okay? The Bible will win in this Hebrew and Bible Academy. That's right. We're going to put 30 to 40 minutes together to where we'll have a Muslim in, hopefully an Arab Muslim. Okay? I'd rather go to their, to the hierarchy that have brought that stuff here to divide our people in the United States and in Africa and different parts of the world. There've always been an issue against our people. When we were in Europe as Moors, they were there. When we went into Africa, they came before the white man and did many atrocities against our people. And when we were over here, then they come over here talking about being black and brown people, undermining our people over in Canada, over in England, over in America, and we're done with it already. Every time you look, they're all up in our mix. Okay? So we're going to be talking about this and more in the academy. Because we're tired of it. Okay? We're not allowed to go over to the Middle East and teach the truth of who we are to your people. So we need to discuss that. How is it if y'all so loving and holy and submit to God that y'all won't allow my people to come over and convert your people like you do in our cities? What gives you the preference? I mean, not the preference. What gives you the advantage? The preferential treatment that you can operate separately than you would allow us to operate with your people. We can't operate with your people like you come over to undermine ours. So what's so righteous about that? What's so true about that, Muslims? Why can't we go into the Middle East and convert your daughters and sons into what we believe? What gives you the right? Or do you think you are above our people? That you should guide our people? Are you racist? Are you racist against our people? That and more. We're going to discuss that because we're tired of it already. Elder Lawya, how you doing? Come on in.
Shalom, sir. I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I am blessed by the best, and his name is Ahaya Bahashim Yeshaya. It's good to see you. I got the mic here tuned in. Everything is good. Someone says there's a delay. It seems like you're fine. Say something here.
All right. Mic check 1 2. Shalom. Mic check 1 2.
Okay, I'm going to do something different because it does seem like there's a delay there. We can't have that.
Yeah.
Can't have that. One moment. All right. All right, try that, Elder Lawya.
All right. Shalom. Mic check 1 2. Testing, testing. Shalom. Mic check 1 2.
Okay, that is better. That is better. All right, we're going to jump right in. Hold on. Jumping right in, Elder Lawya. 1 second. There's a lot I have to unpack this evening, so I want to jump right in. 1 second. Bear with us and do me a favor, brothers and sisters. Hit the like button. And keep in mind, if you would like to be a part of the Hebrew and Bible Academy, it's a simple process. Go to historytimes.org. Historytimes.org. Studio display. All right, say something now, Elder Lawyer.
All right, testing. Shalom, mic check 1 2. Testing. Shalom, mic check 1 2.
I fixed it.
All right, great.
All right, Elder Lawyer. Well, again, I would like to say it's good to have you back, young man. It's a blessing. And,
yes, sir.
And I hope you're ready for a serious winter, a serious winter within this journey. It's been a long journey. The Most High have taken us all the way around the world and back. And it's been a serious journey, but I believe that some serious times are on the horizon. And it's going to be time to buckle up. It's going to be time to really tighten things up. And especially during so-called Christmas and holiday season. I hope you're ready, because, I'm going to get me a little old Christmas tree with some signs and go out on the streets with a Christmas tree and break down what the Hades is this. What the Hades is going on. And I may hang that instead of Merry Christmas around the tree. I may just have the words, what the Hades is going on with this tree. Jeremiah 10. So get on those streets in front of the mall and tell them what will soon occur in the earth. All right. We're gonna have our path to the mark signs, all of that. And I have to travel to the UK. I want to hit the streets. They got a public square there where you can speak. And I want to hit the streets in the UK. I want to travel into different states and drop this truth this winter. It's time. So get ready, y'all. Get ready. All right. Again, go to historytimes.org to enroll. Yes, we'll be at 8th and Market, the fashion district. Absolutely. That's where we'll be. All right. It is time. It is time. We're going to stir something up. As long as the security is good, we're okay. Okay? Because through the Spirit of the Most High, we're going to stir it up. Now, Elder Lawyer, here we go. Let's jump in it without any further ado. You heard about what just happened over in the Ukraine, right? And there's this old saying that the whole world is a stage, right? And I want to really bring context to all of this, but also show the seriousness of this all when it comes to the prophetic breakdown of what's really happening. On one side of things, Elder Lawyer, there's theater. But the deaths, the carnage, and the destruction that comes from the theater is real.
Right.
So I want to take people back down memory lane to show everyone how did we get here and what's going to happen. I stated weeks ago, well, I've been saying it for years, that the people that are currently over government are straight nihilists and they're straight Satanists, evil people. And before seat and power, they would rather pull the plug on the whole thing. But I hope through this broadcast we can identify the synagogue of Satan and also have everyone know who are the true puppet masters in this war game.
Right.
And what I'm talking about today, and y'all doing a great job. We almost have 2,000 people in here already. Thank you, brothers and sisters. Hit that like button as you come on in. Today we're going to talk about the war no one is prepared for. And before we do that, let me give y'all a few pictures that I showed Elder Lawya in the academy. I showed this particular picture. For those who was in the academy, they seen this last Sunday. Right? They seen this picture with Biden shaking the hand of Donald Trump. Right? Before the Yule fire. And I couldn't help but notice, Elder Lawya, the handshake. Right? I'm going to show you, y'all brothers and sisters, what we uncovered during the academy. The world is a theater. The old handshake. Not just any handshake. Of course, I have a chart, symbols of Masonic handshakes. I showed this in the academy years ago, 2012. You have here the real grip of a fellow craft. Craft is the magic, right? But this one in particular is the handshake we're looking at. Past grip of a master mason. The past grip of a master mason. See that finger there? Right? See that finger over there? So what's happening in actuality, Biden is tagging Trump into the ring. Right? He's tagging him into the ring. It's your turn. It's your turn. Right? So as you can see, brothers and sisters, as you can see, these guys are together, but the nation is divided. I'm going to talk about that in one moment. Right? Now, before I go into that, because I have to be current, go backward, and get into these scriptures. We need to talk about this guy called Zelensky. The whole world is a stage, literally. Why is America giving all of our money, our hard-earned tax money, to the Ukraine, one might ask? Why are they so important? Well, folks, if you want to know what's going on, make sure you share this with everyone you know. Well, the old USSR was broken up. They claimed the Cold War was over. So when USSR was broken up, you had the Ukraine, which was once a part of the Soviet Union, which was operating almost independently from the Russian country. Now, years ago, they agreed that they would never allow NATO troops on this side to border Russia. That was the agreement. That NATO could not border Russia, or that would be what? A sign of aggression. So, the Tin Horns, which is Europe, came up with a plan. If they can only get some people in the United States government paid through by special interest to funnel money into a separate country that was once Russia, which is Ukraine, where American weapons and all that can be used by an independent country that's totally separate from America, then wars can be had without the agreement of what? The Senate, Congress, or the executive branch. Because they'll claim, well, listen, it's NATO, and we're just helping NATO out. See? So it's really none of our business. We're just helping NATO out, but it so happens that NATO has become a proxy of Europe and America to destabilize Russia. See? They just needed to have a president in place. Right? Let me show you. A president in place who was really there, but not there, to rubber stamp all the finances of America going into this war, which would create a proxy war against Russia. When everyone who understands history and geopolitics, that Ukraine is only a proxy for the European powers and the United States military complex. They just needed time to put someone in position who would just rubber stamp all the money that would go into Ukraine to rival Russia. Now, Elder Lawya, check this out. So what happens? Just the other day, American weapons were used to hit some special targets in Russia. Now, I didn't hear about any casualties, but all in all, that's an act of war. Now, they claim that this is a war between Ukraine and Russia, but is it? Let's hear what Zelensky have to say.
План посилення України – це план перемоги.
The plan to strengthen Ukraine is the victory plan I had presented to partners. Long-range possibility for our army is one of its major points. Today, there is a lot of talk in the media about us receiving a permit for respective actions. Hits are not made with words. Such things don't need announcements. Missiles will speak for themselves, for sure.
Missiles will speak for itself.
We are looking at an ordinary.
Now, Zelensky said that. Hold up, let me get that out of here.
Duct tape. However, what makes the ordinary
no, we don't want. No,
is the intention of the
no, we don't need that.
Artist.
We don't need that. Now, Zelensky said that, Elder Lawya, with his whole chest. Right? Now, we all know Ukraine cannot really contend against Russia. Not without help. This takes me back, Elder Lawya, to, because most people don't pay attention out there, don't realize how much the world is a stage. They really don't understand how much the world is a stage. Here's Zelensky in the Ukraine as an actor from a series in 2016 called Servant of the People. He played a president before he was president. All right, let's go back. Let's go back again. That's him. That's him with a mustache and beard. That's him, 2016, playing the president in the Ukraine. Brothers and sisters, how many of you out there didn't know this? If you didn't know this, put a 1 in the chat. If you didn't know that this guy played a president in 2016, an actor, put a 1 in the chat. If you didn't know, let me see how many ones we see here. Look at this. It's all over the place, Elder Lawyer. You wouldn't believe this. Ones everywhere. All right? The world is a stage. Unfortunate for our people, either side is playing against the children of God. We're the target. Doesn't matter what any of you think. Our people, God's people, are the target. Look at all these ones. Now, look at this. Now, let's go to the next one, Elder Lawyer, because here's an actual scene from Servant of the People. Servant of the People. There he is.
Значит, тогда почти сразу. Хочешь, начну сначала?
Нет, не надо.
Тоже не друзья называется. Хоть бы один приехал.
Можно понять, рабочий день все-таки.
Не, да, я все понимаю. И позвонить можно было?
Fair use for educational purposes only. There you go. Now, check this out, Elder Lawyer. This was in 2020 during the pandemic, and I showed this when they first started discussing, when Biden was put into office, bringing Zelensky in, and all of these billions of dollars began to funnel into the Ukraine during the so-called pandemic, folks, right after the election. This is January 2020, folks. 2020. Right after the election, the first thing they did, Lawyer, is Volodymyr Zelensky, he's Jewish, y'all. I hope did y'all know this? Visited the Wailing Wall and joined the prayer for peace in the Ukraine. Right? And all of a sudden, right up under our noses, when we were afraid to go outside, afraid of losing our jobs, uncertainty after George Floyd and all the mess, we started seeing all of these immigrants come over, funding for that, and billions upon billions of dollars going towards Zelensky. The actor, I mean the president. Right? Now, I knew something was going on at this time. I knew something was going on, Elder Lawyer. But let's go here real quick. Right? Elder Lawyer, I need you to get 1 Thessalonians 5:3. So while all of those in America are afraid to go outside, divided against one another over something that no one can see outside of what they're saying through the media, while they're telling us to stay separated and not see our families, there's some people here who aren't divided. In the midst of all this stuff that's going on, pandemic, all of that, will we open back up? It doesn't seem like these guys was concerned about getting sick. But I digress, Elder Lawyer. But one thing stood out to me, Elder Lawyer, was this headline. Years ago, now this website came out of nowhere, the president of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelensky official website. Folks, this website was almost non-existent well before the pandemic. And now this guy got all the resources, a new website, and all of this stuff. He's the new star of the show. But what stood out, Elder Lawya, was this right here. Anytime you see prayer for peace, that's code for something.
Right.
What is that code for, brothers and sisters? I'm gonna really give y'all some insight this evening. When you hear and you see prayer for peace, the scriptures decodes that particular message. To the elite, right? To the elite, this is what they're actually saying. I'm going to show you what they're really saying when you see headlines headed for peace. Elder Lawya, if you will, read 1 Thessalonians 5, verse 3 out of the Bible. Let me grab it here so they all can see it. All right, let's go to the Bible and let's read 1 Thessalonians 5, verse 3. For when these people say peace, read.
Yes, sir. For when they shall say peace and safety.
When they shall say what?
Peace and safety.
Peace and safety. When they shall say peace and safety, what happens, Elder Lawya?
Then sudden destruction cometh upon them, as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape.
And they shall not escape. So when it talks about the travailing with child, it's speaking of an attack against our people. The woman in travail is Israel. Not the Israel you see here. The woman in travail are the children of Israel. So anytime you see on any of their headlines, it doesn't matter the circulation or what part of the earth, this proclamation is plastered through. It doesn't matter the circulation. This is code word for coming after a particular people. I'm going to show you this. Volodymyr Zelensky visited the Wailing Wall and joined the prayer of peace in the Ukraine. Elder Lawya, now we've taught this many days, right, in the academy. The majority of people don't even understand the origin of that Wailing Wall that they're signing the agreement in front of.
Right.
A lot of people doesn't understand this wall and what it represents. Well, in the book of Josephus, folks, this wall is one of the very rare constructs that's still in place, where the Roman army held fort against our people when they destroyed Jerusalem. See, unless you understand history, you don't even understand that when they did this, that was a proclamation of war against the true lost tribes of Israel. Okay? We broke this, man, we've been breaking this down for over a decade about what that wall really means. That was a place that held up the Romans fed them and all that behind this wall, behind this garrison, as a fort while destroying the children of Israel. That was our last stand in Masada. This particular wall right here is one of the walls connected to a fort, a military fort that led to the fall and total destruction of our people, the last stand of our people in Jerusalem. So when they say peace and safety, Elder Lawya, read that again.
Yes, sir. For when they shall say, peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them, as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape.
It's them planning to come against us. You may think because this is overseas, it have nothing to do with you. See? It's finishing what the Romans couldn't do in 70 AD when we ran into Africa and different parts of Europe, running from Roman persecution and slavery. They're seeking to finish what they tried. Esau tried against the children of Israel. Now, how do you know that it's speaking of us? So when they say peace and safety, that's a proclamation that they're coming to finish what they couldn't do in 70 AD. Now, how do you know it's speaking of us? Well, when you go to Revelation 12, Elder Lawya, if you can go there real quick.
Yes, sir.
Revelation 12, let's read the first verse.
Yes, sir. Revelation 12, verse 1.
Yeah.
And there appeared a great wonder in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun and the moon under her feet, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars.
And that 12 stars represents the 12 tribes of Israel. Read.
And she, being with child, cried, travailing in birth, and pain to be delivered.
And pain to be delivered. Israel, our people, would need to go through pain before salvation, persecution before being saved. But folks, this is an orchestrated persecution by our brother Esau. This is why in the midst of when they were signing this agreement, Elder Lawya, while they were signing this agreement, funding all of our hard-earned tax money over into the Ukraine and Asians and all these others, immigrants and all these others, they were planning to take any financial resources that been holding up our people away. The same time. They made it where people started jumping ship from their jobs, leaving their jobs, making choices that would make them sick with a higher, with a lower quality of life, pigeonholing our people between a rock and a hard place to make a decision on whether or not we can take something we don't know about or have the threat of losing our livelihood. The same time that they were incentivizing another country, they were preparing to destroy our people. Listen to what I'm showing you now. The Bible calls this Jacob's trouble. Now, let's go. 2023 now. The same actor, Zelensky, meets Chabad. He meets Chabad rabbis of Rosh Hashanah and calls for more Israeli support. Now, a lot of you don't know this, but that thing that happened in the tunnels in Brooklyn, that story where they went in and started cementing in those areas and all of that, and magically that story went away. Did you know, allegedly, not allegedly, but it was that these were people who so-called was from the faction Chabad. But I digress. 2023. Zelensky meets Chabad rabbis ahead of Rosh Hashanah, calls for more Israeli support. Give me more money. Give me more finances. From America, from Israel to the Ukraine. All this money being funneled. Claiming to help and to protect this small country getting bullied by Russia. That's what they told us. Right? Now, let's go. Fair use. Fair use for educational and religious purposes only. Let me put it up here. Fair use, freedom of religion.
The US finally gave permission for Ukraine to fire American long-range missiles into Russia. Kyiv has done so. Its attack on a target within Russia's recognized territorial borders was confirmed by both Moscow and by officials in Washington. The change in US policy comes at a critical time, with the Biden administration due to give way to that of Donald Trump in January. Moscow says the strike hit the Bryansk region this morning. Russia's Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov has said that they will react accordingly. Today marks 1,000 days since the Russian invasion of Ukraine. And this latest development is being watched very carefully by world leaders at the G20 summit in Brazil. More on that in a moment. But first, our Russia editor Steve Rosenberg has this report from Moscow.
Now, before we go to this report...
Breaking news on Russian TV.
Before we go to this report, in Moscow, fair use. Understand that I said that the Democrats in position may cause so much chaos before handing over power. So much chaos. It will be too much for any administration coming in to actually fix. If they're not in position, they're going to break everything possible before leaving the sandbox. Hope you all remember me telling you all this. Because one way of keeping Kamala in position would be to launch a war and have Biden step down or whatever the case is, or whatever, get him out of the way, and she becomes the president midway through a war in which you cannot, what? You cannot change presidents midstream through a war. And mind you, check it out. Since she have lost Elder Lawya, where is she? She must be in the witness protection program right now.
Right.
Right? No one have seen her. Nothing. Only thing that's coming out is the fact that they're throwing all of our people under the bus right now. And don't think allegedly that her campaign people aren't behind this. Why do you think all of a sudden the amounts of what she actually paid Roland Martin, these comedians, Oprah Winfrey? Usually that information is secret. Who do you think is leaking that information out, that Megan Thee Stallion got millions of dollars and Beyonce got this amount, to the T, as if someone had receipts? Folks, I believe it was her campaign managers and those that were in charge of all of this started leaking this out against these, I believe allegedly, against these black entertainers who claim genuine support for Kamala. Now, you may ask, why would they do that? So that now they can turn our people against them once and for all before throwing them all back into the fray with the people they picked them from. Okay? And another thing is they paid the money and they still lost. They still lost. So I believe it was Kamala's campaign, and I've seen her campaign manager and all that. All these are white and Asian people, no black people anywhere, were really moving and shaking and doing the things like Megan Thee Stallion and all that. It wasn't black people behind hiring her for that. These were all Asians and white people. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, you hear about all this money was paid to these so-called influencers. Oprah, Beyonce. Well, who leaked the information? Well, who would have had the information? See, this is how you take the financial upward mobility from any people who's in position to help their own. All of these stars have been double-crossed, and they know it. When you lie down with serpents, literal serpents, you get bit. Now, Let me move that to the side. That was just a sidebar. And let's get back to the Ukraine. And yeah, she's in a witness protection program right now. But I don't believe the Democrats are looking to cede power that easily. Now we're starting to hear what they were hiding the whole time, Elder Lawya. We're starting to hear out there, they were saying, well, Trump is looking to extradite all of these people who came in illegally. Well, I thought y'all claimed that y'all was going to fix that while running.
Right.
If you was going to fix it, then why would you have a problem with Trump fixing it? Unless you were lying again. See? See? So now they're digging their feet in the ground together and saying, we are going to keep these illegals, I mean NATO troops, I mean illegals, within the borders of the United States. And then on the other side, Trump is going to need military to go into these asylum states to extradite with ICE and keep order. Probably in the midst of a war. Okay? Now, so when you have all of these dynamics going on at one time before power is transferred, like it was during George Floyd, riots, COVID, right? When you have all these dynamics, these clouds of misdirection happening at one time, that's enough distractions to come in to target whom you're really seeking to destroy under the guise of going after illegals. Y'all see where we're going here, right? They're standing in front of the wall. Zelensky is standing in front of the wall where the Romans encamped against our people in Jerusalem in 70 AD. Right? Let me show you here. They're standing in front of the wall that was aimed towards destroying our people, praying for peace for the Ukraine, when the Bible says, when they say peace and safety, sudden destruction cometh upon you. At the same time, the Democrats have all these people military age within the United States borders already. All this money went out to the Ukraine. And then in the midst of all this chaos, riots during the transfer of power, ICE, and now military, Trump may have to sign an executive order to bring military in because there's so many people. You're talking about drug dealers, people that was released out of prison, all of that, who need to be found in these what? Major sanctuary cities. So right now, folks, I'm going to tell you, the biggest issues when it comes to plan A in this is understanding what may happen if you're living in a sanctuary city, because that's where they're going to be sending the troops. Okay? Now, under the guise of going after illegals, a lot of people are going to be caught up in the fray as collateral damage. See, in the midst of war, casualties are to be expected. But are they really casualties, or were they the target all along? Now, I'm going to show you where this is going now. Fair use.
TV claims that Ukraine had fired 6 American ATACMS missiles
and y'all doing
into Russia's Bryansk region.
You all are doing a great job. We're about 500 likes down. We're upward. I want to get this number over 3,000 tonight. hit the like button. Fair use.
Though no reports of casualties. The response from Russia's foreign minister, Sergei Lavrov, said the missile attack was a signal that the West wants to escalate the conflict. But is this escalation by Russia? Published today, a Kremlin decree lowering the nuclear threshold. Russia now reserving the right to go nuclear even if attacked by conventional weapons, if such an attack threatens Russia's sovereignty or territorial integrity. President Putin had promised changes to the nuclear doctrine weeks ago, a clear signal to Europe and America not to let Ukraine strike Russia with long-range missiles. Then, an even clearer signal. Russian nuclear exercises, a warning to the West not to cross Russia's red lines. But the key question, in Russia's war on Ukraine, would Vladimir Putin use a nuclear weapon?
I think it's quite serious, because even Putin doesn't know whether he can use nukes or he can't. It depends on his emotions. We know that he's a very emotional man, and the decision to begin this war was also an emotional step.
The lowering of the nuclear threshold.
Now, Elder Lawya, freedom of religion, fair use. Now, throughout the years, I've seen these same exercises and threats before. And many countries are reluctant to use nuclear missiles. And the reason why they're reluctant is because once you push that button, there's no going back. Right? When it comes to the nuclear fallout and the sicknesses and death that comes from it, once one is launched, and you have to look at how close proximity Ukraine is to Russia. And you have to realize that when wind blows and all that, the wind doesn't discriminate. And Russia understands if they were to nuke Ukraine, don't forget, it wasn't too long that Ukrainians were Russians. Right? So, logically, I would think that it's almost a suicide mission for them to launch on Ukraine and not realize it's going to affect the country of Russia for the foreseeable future. So, you know me, I like to look at things strategically, right? Even if we might have chess players out there, right? And warfare is really chess, right? See, sometimes you can have something that seems like it's a threat in front of you, right? The queen may be somewhere. You got to watch where she is because she may take something out, right? She's a threat. You're watching what she's doing at all times. But one thing you might be sleeping on is that bishop that's all the way back there but has a run line to your king, right? You're thinking you may use a few pieces over here, not realizing that bishop have you dead to right and making it where you can't even move one thing because that bishop is holding a position for a knight to come down and take you out or another piece to come out, because really a bishop is sort of like a sniper in chess, right? Because if it's too close to you, it might as well be a pawn, right? So the bishop is more so like a sniper, not to lose its power, to keep its sights on it while everything else is operating, right? For those who understand the chess game. Now, out of all of this, just say if this is just a war game, we can't look at what the missiles are going to do right now, because that's where they have everyone looking. Because what I noticed when they said that American missiles were utilized, but yet no casualties like that. Right? I said, well, okay. Even though it's an act of war, there's no large number of casualties or death, but it's still violating a country by crossing a country's border with long-range missiles given to them by America. So nobody really was hurt. Right now, there's posturing going on. But through the posturing, what's constant? And you have to see what's constant. You know what's constant? All the NATO troops from international troops are already in the Ukraine. They're already in the Ukraine, including, because it's United States military that's also a part of the NATO alliance. So what's to stop, Elder Lawya, if there's some chaos that happens in the United States? What's to stop after the borders were open for 4 years? What's to stop some of these troops that are already there to be utilized where they need them? Here.
Right.
So that's what I'm saying. I'm looking at what is, not what can be if something happens. Troops have been aligned in an area they weren't supposed to go, and it won't take them too long to be utilized or moved someplace else that might need help in the state of an emergency, like if they had to extradite tens of millions, thousands upon thousands of illegals. Right? Now, stick with me here. Because I've seen war games for years where Iran and other countries, they would launch one of those missiles in the air just to show their power and say, you know what? I believe it's in your best interest to back down. We've been seeing this. I've been seeing that since a kid. But really, pulling the trigger on a nuclear missile is the last thing a president want to do, because there's no going back with it. Now, eventually it's going to happen, but I don't believe it's going to happen immediately. Now, at the end of this, if I have an opportunity, I'm going to tell people when I think a lot of this is going to go down. But I think right now it's posturing on either side with the people who's controlling either side of the Democrats and the Republicans. Right? There's people that have interest on either side, be it Democrat or Republicans, that have Israel's interests at heart. And they also have who? They also have Europe's interest at heart. And that wall there is either side, they're going to still aim towards the people that are suffering. The people who are truly the target. Now, let's go here now, Elder Lawya. I pulled this out weeks ago, where there's a crisis of homelessness within the United States. I'm going to show you how it all ties together. While they're giving money for all these war games and all of this, there's a people who are actually suffering. There's a people, hold on, let me turn this phone off. There's a people that are actually suffering in the United States. They're taking all the money from the people from the middle tier, and they're moving majority of the people into the lower class, replacing them with illegals intentionally, which have driven homelessness up exponentially. Now, for years, for the last couple of years, the Biden administration have finagled the numbers to make everyone believe that the homelessness crisis isn't as worse as what people are truly stating it is. Now, what do I mean by that? See, they was able to finagle the numbers, and thank you all on Patreon too. My loyal Patreonies, I see y'all over there. I see you chatting over there. Thank you all. Loyal Patreonies. I mean, not Patreonies, Rumble. My loyal Rumble people over there. My loyal Rumble people. I see y'all over there, okay? With simulcasting. So I said, so during the election season, Elder Lawya, they had everyone believe that the numbers of homelessness is going down, everything is fine, nothing as bad as it used to be, because they've been keeping numbers falsely. What do I mean by that? Well, as long as you can show that you have a physical address, you're not considered under the homeless rolls. Now think about that. If you have somebody who was put out and living with family, with no place to go, because mail is coming to the home and they got a place to stay, they aren't considered homeless, even though they can't afford a house of their own. Can you imagine how many people out there who are living like that? Right? Who are out there coexisting, living with family and all of that, where no one understands that really these people don't have a place to call their own as far as rent and or let alone owning a home. But they're literally homeless. How many people out there, Elder Lawya, who's renting a room on their Social Security, where they're paying a little bit of money out of their Social Security to rent a room in a house where you got a guy or a person renting many rooms? These people, even though technically they have a place, are truly homeless. So they were able for years to hide the true numbers for homelessness in the United States, because so many people are shacking in with minimal opportunity out there, and is you have some people that are going from couch to couch, no place to call their own, and have a physical address, hoping that a job will come in and something will actually, a windfall will come through that can change their life for the better. But brothers and sisters, the windfall isn't coming, and they know it. The opportunity to move out of poverty into the middle and upper class, folks, it will be almost the same odds of hitting the lottery. And they know it. And the reason why is not because America doesn't provide much opportunity. There's too many people who came over the border that will man all of the new employment that's offered through the corporations. They were told, allegedly, not to hire American citizens for service jobs. They were told, don't do it. So what's happening? Homelessness is going up. Going up. And when they were talking about housing and all of this, Elder Lawya, Kamala went talking about housing. They weren't talking about for our people. There's another plan for our people. You want to see it? Trump takes a hard line on homelessness, while LA Mayor Karen Bass hopes to find common ground. Well, guess what, folks? The hard line they're taking on homelessness is when they come through, they're looking to sweep everything. You think they're just talking about illegals? How is it? Who knows whether or not that the illegals are actually hiding amongst the homeless? Remember all these tent cities they set up temporarily in New York and other areas until they can find housing? They were showing all the homeless people on the street of New York and all of that. So homelessness is going to be a part of the clean sweep in order to find migrants or to process them. And some people are going to get caught up in the wake, in the midst of it, and going to have to be what? Detention until people can figure out who you really are. That's coming. Listen to this, Elder Lawya. President-elect Donald Trump has promised to arrest thousands of homeless people sleeping in American streets and move them to large tent cities. Folks, where are they going to find these large tent cities? Oh, the place that temporarily was housing the illegals. Now, how many people think that only illegals are going to be in these so-called tent cities, which was really set up like military checkpoint areas? Huh? Are y'all following me here? President-elect, see, folks, while everyone is looking one way, we're showing you what's really going on. Has promised to arrest thousands of homeless people sleeping in American streets, and move them to large tent cities on inexpensive land. So, of course, you're going to need some type of security for these people, right? Is that military? Or let alone how many people in the military, that came over the border during those 4 years. Maybe these are your guys. One of several planks of his agenda that would up in a national strategy that focuses on finding people housing on a voluntary basis. We will use every tool, lever, and authority to get the homeless off the streets, Trump said in a video announcing his policy last year. All right, let me see if I can get it.
Our once great cities have become unlivable, unsanitary nightmares, surrendered to the homeless, the drug addicted, and the violent and dangerously deranged. We're making many suffer for the whims of a deeply unwell few, and they are unwell indeed. The homeless have no right to turn every park and sidewalk into a place for them to squat and do drugs. Americans should not have to step over piles of needles and waste as they walk down a street, a beautiful city, or at least once beautiful city, because they've changed so much over the last 10 years.
Now, I know some people.
Consideration.
Now, hold up. I know some people saying, Elder Lawya, probably saying, well, hold up. Weren't you all against Kamala? At least if Kamala was in position at least we wouldn't be hearing this. Folks, that's the reason I had to show y'all Donald Trump being passed the baton. See, the Democrats sets us up. And the Republicans, after the pins are set up, knocks them down. See? Because how much homelessness ensued within that 4 years for our people based on all of the illegals that were placed right next to us taking our jobs. See how it works? See how it works. So they brought the illegals in and put them right next to us. And here it is, we can't find jobs anywhere. There's people with top degrees who owe debt for those degrees who cannot find a job past $15 to $20 an hour. But these illegals will come in immediately and make middle-class money from the rip. With no papers, no debt, no degree. Who do you think did that? It was the Democrats that set us up for failure, and it's the Republicans who take it and knock the pins down. That's how it works. Okay? More. Fair use for religious and educational purposes. We hit 3,000. Thank you, brothers and sisters. Thank you for hitting the like button. What a great job. I really appreciate it. I really do, folks. This is the first time we hit 3,000 in a while. Thank you, my brothers and sisters. I really appreciate it. I really do. All right, let's get through it.
Our first consideration should be the rights and safety of the hardworking, law-abiding citizens who make our society function. When I'm back in the White House, we will use every tool, lever, and authority to get the homeless off our streets. We want to take care of them, but they have to be off our streets. There is nothing compassionate about letting these individuals live in filth and squalor rather than getting them the help that they need. We need professionals to help them. For a small fraction of what we spend upon Ukraine, we could take care of every homeless veteran in America. Our veterans are being treated horribly. Likewise, with all of the money we will save by ending mass unskilled migration, we will have a huge dividend to address this crisis in our own country. Under my strategy, working with states, we will ban urban camping wherever possible. Violators of these bans will be arrested, but they will be given the option to accept treatment and services if they're willing to be rehabilitated. Many of them don't want that, but we'll give them the option. We will then open up large parcels of inexpensive land, bring in doctors, psychiatrists, social workers, drug rehab.
Hold up. I don't know. Project Paperclip, anyone? I don't know if you want to bring in some of those head job doctors in for what purpose? For rehabilitation? Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder, who knows, I haven't seen any advertisements out there asking for, the shortages of organs like it used to be a decade ago. Right? So I'm just putting it out there.
Workers and drug rehab specialists and create 10 cities where the homeless can be relocated and their problems identified. But we'll open up our cities
so
again,
folks, this ain't just
livable.
folks. This is not just talking about sweeping a sweep on illegal immigrants. Did anyone ask whether or not these people that are being taken against their will into these places, whether or not these are American citizens? Right? So that's how you pay That's how you pay American citizens who have fought for your country, who have paid taxes. They fall on hard times. And instead of giving them a leg up and an opportunity, you open up the borders, bring all of these people who you know are here to press upon our people like you did in 70 AD, leaving our people no choice but to hit the street. And then once we hit the street trying to get on our feet, there is no opportunity for low service jobs because all the illegals have those. So what jobs are out there possible for the homeless? Here's the solution, folks. And folks, I'm going to hit you with something. A lot of people are talking about the Ukraine war. Why are we sending so much money over to the Ukraine? And I've asked that question also facetiously, but because I really know why. How is this in the interest of America? Well, brothers and sisters, it's in the interest of America. If you are considering using some of the NATO troops and all that the money went to for other operations outside of Chester, Ukraine. See how it works? They show you the sleight of hand, Russia, Ukraine, but really these NATO troops can be used anywhere. Okay? I'm putting it together for you all. Now, y'all doing me a great respect by hitting that like button and getting this thing past 3,000. I thank you again. But folks, we quantified this in less than 40 minutes. I'm going to get there in a moment. But I'm going to show you how it all works.
Our cities again, make them livable and make them beautiful. For those who are just temporarily down on their luck, we will work to help them quickly reintegrate into a normal life. For those who have addictions, substance abuse, and common mental health problems, we will get them into treatment. And for those who are severely mentally ill and deeply disturbed, we will bring them back to mental institutions where they belong, with the goal of reintegrating them back into society once they are well enough to manage. It's a tough task, a very tough task. What's taken place on the streets, what's taken place with their taking so much drugs. But the fact is, we're going to try. This strategy will be far better.
Okay, Elder Lawya, they're taking so much drugs. Wasn't it the Democrats who are encouraging drug use?
Right. Exactly. Giving free drug paraphernalia, safe spaces where people can use the drugs and get the quote-unquote the help they need.
There you go. In Philadelphia, giving out needles, saying at least it's clean needles. You don't want them passing diseases to one another. So you even had Biden and all these others. They were out there claiming they had little pipe phernalias. Listen, let's make sure these crackheads get clean pipes.
Right.
So you see how it works, folks? One set it up, and you think that they are against each other. Folks, they be posturing in the news. Okay? They be posturing. Let me tell you, they made the Democrats so irrational to a degree where any sane person would have a logical choice without question. Think about that. I need y'all to understand, these people aren't stupid. You think they didn't know that this would run all people to the right? I need y'all to think about this, folks. During the pandemic, which I believe, to some degree, a lot of it, during that time period, seemed like through the news and all, a lot of psychological operations was going on with the people. Okay, telling people they need to stay inside, seclusion, not trust anybody around you. It could be your grandma. You know how much trauma that is on the psyche to not realize who you can trust, because death can be with anyone or in anyone you love. And then while all of this is going on, brothers and sisters, we're hearing these weird news stories about men running against women, right? Well, what they would call biological men who transitioned to women, beating all these women, these young girls in women's sports. Men identifying as women, beating women in the swimming pool. All this was going on at the same time, folks. And then you had the right-wingers come out with this production. What is a woman? Then you had Jaconzi from the Supreme Court saying that she don't know what a woman is. At the same time, they're giving out paraphernalia. Immigrants are coming in all over the place. Did the American people really have a choice? It seems like they intentionally let loose all the nut job policies and all that so that people could be united in their final solution against the chosen. It was moving all the pieces in place, and now the sentiments all are for Trump, which was intentional. Because who in their right mind would choose the other side? Okay? Here it is.
This strategy will be far better and also far less expensive than spending vast sums of taxpayer money to house the homeless in luxury hotels without addressing their underlying issues. And they have so many of these underlying issues and needs. This is how I will end the scourge of homelessness and make our cities clean and safe and beautiful once again. We will do it. We will bring back America. Thank you.
Now, Elder Lawya, they will bring back America. And I thank Elder Rawchaa for sending me the next clip that I'm about to show. Because for years, the Democrats have been working, they set us up while the others knock us down, have been working to make it where our people in the inner cities who were predominantly conservative, family-oriented, would be totally separated before they began to come in to destroy the children of Israel in these inner cities. And on top of that, there's a certain letter group who worked behind the veil to push all of this the whole time under a certain level of nihilism to make sure they destroy the nuclear family, targeting our people at the end of it. So even though there's casualties in the mix where other races are affected, the target really are our people. Check this out. This is how we got here to a point where there's no family to defend the people who are the most vulnerable. This was a patient plan, but guess what? They have succeeded. There'll be no protection. When it all go down, there'll be no family standing together against what they've pressed in all of these so-called asylum cities. They've already broken the people they're seeking to destroy. Listen to this, Elder Lawya. Listen to this. And what do we have here? Here's all the countries connected to NATO. Albania, Belgium, Canada, Croatia, Czech Republic, Denmark, Estonia, Finland, France, Germany, Greece. And what do a lot of these have in common, Elder Lawya? They are all a part of the 10 horns. Spain, Turkey, United Kingdom, and the United States. And when did the United States come into NATO? 1949. 1 year after what? 1 year after the state of Israel became recognized as a country within the Middle East. All right? Now I need y'all to check this out before I go there. Now there's no families to fend off what's coming. There's high homelessness, and it's only going to get worse because soon when Trump get in, you talking about Section 8, all of that stuff, guess what? They're going to move all of that stuff out of the way. The Republicans were always on that. This is why so many of our sisters have stayed Democrat, because they know the Democrats, even though they align themselves with the Democrats and some of the demoralization that comes with it, at least the social part of having housing was a mainstay for the women to stand as Democrats, regardless of them being tied to a bunch of nut jobs and immoral Satanists. But at least they could bank on, well, I know the social worker is going to look out for me getting a house. Not with the illegals here. So then what's next? They're going to show you how we got here. And I thank you, Elder Rawchaa, for sending this to me. This is why there'll be no one to protect the children and the women when the armies come.
There's a federal law called Title 4D. It was passed in the late 1970s. This is the cause of the divorce explosion in the 1980s and the creation of, there were no family courts in the early 1980s. They didn't exist.
Okay, and I want to make sure I say fair use.
They were created specifically because of Title 4D.
I want to say fair use for education and religious purposes only. A matter of fact, fair use. I believe in Christ, and I'm breaking things down from an analytical standpoint, believing in this Bible, and I'm going to put right in front of him and blow it up. Fair use, freedom of religion. We're not making nothing off of this. Okay, we're not monetized on YouTube or nothing. So this is for educational. We believe in God and Christ. Freedom of speech. Fair use. Now there's no one here to protect the women and children. I'm going to show you how we got here.
There's a federal law called Title 4D. It was passed in the late 1970s. This is the cause of the divorce explosion in the 1980s and the creation of, there were no family courts in the early 1980s. They didn't exist. They were created specifically because of Title 4D. Title 4D provides for matching funds for the collection of child support. So I don't know about Virginia, but I know about Texas. In Texas, it's $500 million. It's $480 to $520 million per year. The more child support that's issued, the more money the state gets in reimbursements. The more it collects, the more it gets in the entire Texas Attorney General's office is funded by the child support collection matching funds from Title 4D. Texas actually has a law in the Texas Government Code which requires all judges to rule in cases in such a way to maximize Title 4D reimbursements.
Wow.
Before anything is heard in case. This explains a lot of peculiar things in family court. Family court's known for giving custody to the dysfunctional parent, and they just do it consistently. They do it all the time. I watched a case ahead of mine one time, and they gave 2 children back to a heroin addict mother who had successfully passed the drug test after 15 days for the first time.
Oh my God.
Okay.
What was the alternative?
Why would they do that? That makes no sense, right? Everybody goes, nobody in their right mind would do things like one.
You hear this, Elder Lawyer?
Yes, sir.
And I believe for years, it was well known. It was an unspoken truth. We felt it, but I believe that the other side, women, I believe they always knew that these courts were partial.
Right.
And it doesn't matter whether or not their case is right or not. They knew exactly what the courts were after. Us. Mm. And this is how it was incentivized, Elder Lloyd. That's how you know it's some foreign corporate money included in this. That if you can, if there's a target guy that you claim he's not supporting his child or whatever the case is, listen to this. If you were to get this guy on the hook to sign for the child support, the government will match it.
Mm.
Now check that out. So it's incentivized that they find the person, the man, to get on the hook. Because it's tied to the money that goes to that particular state. It's incentivized. So here it is. A woman who was a heroin addict was clean for 15 days and just passed one test. And they gave the children to her knowing that she was unfit. Now, but what happened to the children? Well, the children aren't guided right under a drug dealer. Under a drug head. And now they're vulnerable to be predatorized on. And this is how abuse happens, molestation happens, and all of this. And now these people grow up as victims. And believe it or not, folks, these people become perpetual victims all their life. And this is how they continue to get people, victims, under the Democrat umbrella. Because they are what? They're subjected to the social programs to survive. And it becomes a what? A perpetual cycle of deprivation, keeping our people down, focusing on not giving the children what they need to become upstanding, loving, God-fearing people. To produce, it's being incentivized, listen, to make sure that our children are broken. So this is, now I'm saying this because we have to look at the pool of people who should be in a position to protect themselves before the jackboots come. And guess what? There is no protection.
Addict mother who had successfully passed the drug test after 15 days for the first time.
Oh my God.
Okay.
What was the
Why
alternative?
would they do that? That makes no sense, right? Everybody goes, nobody in their right mind would do things like, why do they do it? Here's why they do it. The state knows full well it will never collect child support from a heroin addict.
Oh.
And all that matching money, they don't get it.
Got it.
They know that the responsible parent will bankrupt themselves to protect their child and to take care of their child, and they'll get all the matching money for that. So the decision in family court doesn't come down to, are you a fit and willing parent? If that were the case, then in 99% of the cases, you would have both parents getting 50-50 custody. because both parents are fit and willing, right? Most abuse is actually much rarer than we think, right?
Yeah.
So abuse and neglect, those are two ends of the spectrum, right? So what they do is they say, which person here will give me the maximum Title IV reimbursement for the state?
Wow.
And that's the person who loses custody so that they pay child support. That's the real calculation that's going on. You mentioned CPS, and if you're looking at laws around this, you need to know about Title IV-E. Title IV-E gives reimbursements for taking children. So when the state takes a child from a family, they get a Title IV-E reimbursement just like Title IV-D. Here's how it works in Texas. You'll get a satellite office in a rural county of Texas that's running low on budget. They'll look for a child to low IQ parents, under 18 months of age, but they'll go as high as 2 with no medical problems.
So they profile, Elder Lawya, the low IQ in the community. The whole time this woman think that the social worker has her best interest at heart, when really the target is how many children do you have?
Right.
I need you to think about that. So they target someone that isn't that bright or sharp. See? Or a person that doesn't have protection to help them reason logically with. Because the worst scenario you want someone to be in is desperate, needing help. Because that person isn't going to make a sound, logical decision in the midst of all that. So they're sitting here with social workers who you think is in your best interest when their eyes are on your children. Listen to this.
Medical problems, and they'll go and take their children. They usually do it through subterfuge. They do a well check and they bring along an extra party that they don't tell the parents or a psychologist. Mm-hmm. The psychologist, unbeknownst to them, is doing a psych eval and recommends taking the children. They take the children. Within 6 months, the child is adopted out, and that satellite office gets $250,000 in budget money. So there's financial incentives to take children.
They get $250,000 in budget money. So they get even more if the state take the child, Elder Lawya. And you know what happens under CPS. I'm talking about generally. Now, sometimes you fall into a concerned person who's going to look out for you, but that's far and in between. Right? So it's incentivized. Hold up. It's not incentivized that they go with the what? The sound, strong, loving parent. They would rather it be with someone that has problems and all of that, who they know going to help break the child in those streets. And have that child witnessing all types of things they shouldn't see in a home being raised pure and innocent and young. And that child is getting traumatized when the one person who can protect them has been incentivized not just to stay away, but to put his money into the destruction of his own seed. And guess what? The government will match it. And they'll do one better. Get both the parents out of the way. And guess what? They'll give even more money to the state.
Incentives to take children. There's financial incentives to take fathers out of the home. So as a legislature, you have to ask yourself, how do you change the incentives in the bureaucracy? Well, I will submit to you that this is, if you look at the total money in all the states, this is as large as some of the largest defense programs.
Yeah.
And we've never successfully cut a large defense program. That's never happened.
And I can tell you right now, the political palatability of the only way this is going to be discussed, there will be no level-headed discussion like we're seeing taking place, right? It will be this idea that You just don't want women to be able to leave abusive situations, or you don't want children to be able to get the proper child support they need. Like, you just don't want that. You're the deadbeat dad supporter. And the problem is, this is always the problem with government trying to fulfill certain functions within society for which it was never truly designed to do. And it's these sort of second and third order effects that we don't get, is that it sounds great. It really, I mean, think about this on a 50,000 foot level. It sounds great to say, well, of course, we're going to provide funding to, let's say, a smaller jurisdiction, a poorer jurisdiction that doesn't have the resources to be able to intervene and to be able to get a kid out of a dangerous situation, or ensure that children are financially supported by a parent that should be paying child support. It makes perfect sense if you're assuming that this is always going to be operated the way it was intended and only for the purposes that it was intended. Because what you've actually done, and we see this with other welfare programs, what you've actually done is incentivize the state to now engage in certain activities. And we've seen this with COVID spending, we've seen it with welfare spending, we've seen it with everything else. You're not just getting the reasonable use case scenario, you're creating a perverse incentive.
That's right.
Okay, so
if you ever want to know why young men are not marrying, I speak to young men all the time. I get invited to speak to masculinity conferences and so forth. This is what they tell me. They go to church and they get cajoled to get married. They're told that it's their duty, it's their God-given duty. The problem is they have actually witnessed their father's lives become totally destroyed. I talk to lots of young men. They're like, my father lived out of a car for 6 months.
Yeah.
Because the court look, I don't think, people understand the impact of child support. So in Texas, if you have 2 kids, they're going to take 30% of your gross pre-tax income. Okay, most businesses could never survive confiscation of 30% of their pre-tax revenues. They would just go out of business. Yeah. I've done the numbers. If in Dallas County, based on cost of living, if you make less than $45,000 a year, you cannot rent a home. You're left with about $800 a month to live on. So it doesn't work. Second thing is, you don't get to deduct that money as childcare expenses. Like, that's one area where you could make it back up, as if you had a deduction or a credit. Actually, the mother that you pay gets to deduct it as childcare expenses, not you. Okay. Yeah. So that's the first thing. And the second thing is, like, for example, I've been for 11 years, I have had to submit all of my expenses. Like, every credit card expense, every cash expense is scrutinized by an attorney, by an accountant, and by the judge in court, because they want to see if they can get more child support from me.
Yeah.
You permanently lose all financial privacy. I have been told by a judge, I had to file a motion to try to change jobs.
Wow.
Because it paid me $10,000 a year less, but made it more geographically convenient for me. The judge said, no, you cannot change jobs.
Wow.
So you lose all of your freedoms once you get into divorce court if you're designated as the one who pays the child support.
Yeah, no, and I've seen this before too, where it's like the positive use case scenario of this is you have somebody that kind of manipulates the system or leaves a job temporarily in order to get a lower rate requirement for child support, and then immediately gets a higher job or whatever it is, right? Like there's the system can be gamed either way, but you're
Definitely.
right. It creates this perverse incentive. Well, and I'll tell you this, I'm a huge marriage advocate, right? I am a ton of my content is about the importance of marriage, the necessity of marriage in society. Yeah. But you're not wrong that I'll put it to you the most crass way it was put to me. Nick, please explain to me why I should risk getting married so the government will pay a woman to leave me, take my kids, and I can spend the rest of my life to pay my ex-wife to sleep with another dude.
That's exactly right. And that's exactly what young men tell me.
Man.
Remember, married people vote Republican.
Man, did he quantify that in one breath or what?
The twinkling of an eye.
Lawyer, that sound like something he went through. Let me hear that once more.
Geographically convenient for me. The judge said, no, you cannot change jobs.
Wow.
So you lose all of your freedoms once you get into divorce court if you're designated as the one who pays the child support.
Yeah, no, and I've seen this before too, where it's like the positive use case scenario of this is you have somebody that kind of manipulates the system or leaves a job temporarily in order to get a lower rate requirement for child support, and then immediately gets, you know, a higher job or whatever it is, right? Like there's the system can be gamed either way, but you're right. It creates this perverse incentive. Well, and I'll tell you this, I'm a huge marriage advocate, right? I am a ton of my content is about the importance of marriage, the necessity of marriage in society. Yeah. But you're not wrong that here's I'll put it to you the most crass way it was put to me. Nick, please explain to me why I should risk getting married so the government will pay a woman to leave me, take my kids, and I can spend the rest of my life to pay my ex-wife to sleep with another dude.
That's exactly right. And that's exactly what young men tell me.
Yeah.
So and remember, married people vote Republican. Yeah. So when young men decide not to get married, you're increasing the number of Democrat voters out there.
Now, Elder Lawya. Next. This was an article. Imagine how. Now let's put into context everything I brought up so far. And this was an article put out in 2006. And guess what? This have changed exponentially in numbers since almost 2 decades ago? Gay adoption of black children raises concerns. NPR. The number of whites adopting black children is growing. I wonder how they're getting those numbers with the separated family. You see this? Everything that they just broke down, we're seeing the end game in their war. See, in ancient times, you would take out the man, bring the women in for servants, and then what? Re-educate the children in the interest of the conquering country. They did the same thing in the United States right up under our noses. And then on top of that, you incentivize what? The young girls. You pat them on the head and incentivize them to work and be key pillars of the state and bring forth more servants for the elite class. And you buck break and or destroy or castrate the boys. That's an old war tactic from ancient Rome. And it says here, and a rising number of those adopted parents that are adopting black children are gay and lesbian. Some in the black community say putting kids with other family members should be considered. Putting kids with other family members should be considered first. That's when we had power to speak up against what was apparent to us at this time. And that's when we were predominantly Christians, family oriented. We was like, no, that's a no-no. We have family members. We can ship them down south and have aunt raise them or grandma raise them. Mm-hmm. But not now. But not now, folks. But not now. And this was as of 1994. Pop star Madonna's contested an adoption of a 1-year boy from Malawi has made headlines. In the United States, the number of whites adopting black children is growing. A 1994 federal law now forbids racial discrimination in their placement. So they had to start with the racial stuff first. Then what? After they was able to break that barrier, a rise number of those adopting are gay and lesbian. And not everyone in the black community is pleased. Then it went into the numbers it was at this time. Why? Like they say, they target the low IQ, find something that's going on in the house, or have the people strung out on drugs. The state incentivizes them by paying $250,000 for a child that's taken into CBS away from their their mother or father. And then there's more money when nonprofits is able to get that black child or that poor child into the hands of a gay man, probably a gay white man or a gay white lesbian. This is warfare. Warfare. So now there will be no one, no guard in front to protect our people when the Romans come. They have successfully did what? Elder Lawya, let's go to Matthew 12 and 25. Matthew 12 and 25. I'm going to show one other thing.
So I live out of my car. I've been living out of my car since 2022.
I'm going to show one other thing, and then we're going to open up the lines. This is the war no one is prepared for. We already lost the most important war. The most important war was never letting other people, unbelievers, Satanists, those who don't have our best interests, to have never allowed them to come and play through government and separate us. We've already lost the major war. Because now it's open game at this point. See? We let them pull us apart like legs off a spider, not realize. And we thought these people had our best interests at heart, only to do what? To aim to destroy us at the very end altogether. Are we prepared? The war no one is prepared for. And it starts with the war they waged on family first. And that we allowed. And we threw it all the way under what? Under the guise of some level of freedom. Freedom isn't free. There's a cost. Elder Lawya.
Yes, sir.
Let's go to, and now, guess what? The chickens have come home to roost. Because now the government is going to pull everything out of the way altogether. Everything. They were like, oh, y'all gonna try to stop us from child support? Well, okay, I'll tell you what. We just won't support any of the people that are suffering in the neighborhoods. Die already. And we'll replace you with new servants. Right? And maybe, and I believe there's enough of our people, hopefully there's enough of our people, or a small remnant, who can come together and understand the importance of not fighting one against another or conspiring against one another as if this person is an enemy that you have to protect yourself from. And one day in your mind, you're already thinking about how to divide the assets because you've been programmed to believe that we are separate, that that person is the enemy. And the only thing you're thinking about is what happens if one day I'm out of this. Hopefully there's enough of us to realize that we have a people that's worth sacrificing for. We have a people that's worth sacrificing and actually, believe it or not, folks, actually standing for the long game, which is the best interest of a nation. Elder Lawya, let's go to Matthew real quick. Matthew, the 12th chapter. And let's read the 25th verse, if you will.
Yes, sir. Say Matthew 12 and 25.
Matthew 12, verse 25. Read it, sir.
And Yeshua knew their thoughts and said unto them, Every kingdom divided against itself is brought to desolation.
Every kingdom that's divided against itself is brought to desolation, folks. I need y'all to think about why in the Democrat Party they align all the degeneracy and the anti-God sexual behavior. They align that with us. Why? Because it was our children as the target. They never really cared about black women. I mean, black men. You can forget about that. But I'm going to tell you, they never really cared about black women. They just made our women believe they cared about them. They never really cared. Their whole plan was divide and conquer. And we brought it. The men brought it and the women brought it. Hook, line, and sinker. And now they know there's no protection for what's coming for our people. Only God can protect us. Only Christ can protect us at this point. Because why? And see, I always throw a curveball in these particular conversations. Why? Because we always talk about the nukes and talk about the bombs. Oh my goodness. When, as a people, we already operate as if a bomb was dropped on us.
Right.
Think about it. Usually when they go into another country, Iraq or another country, they do what? They put the people under order, they separate them, they re-educate them, and they replace the citizens. The majority of the citizens are those that's for the new regime. Well, that's what your illegals are, the new regime. And they did it without dropping one bomb. And we were complicit. That's why the Bible says Yeshua knew their thoughts and said to them, every kingdom divided against itself is brought to desolation. Read.
And every city or house divided against itself shall not stand.
Shall not stand. They divided and conquered us. And they utilized issues that we could have easily resolved for the embetterment and for the protection of our future, for our future, the next generation. And they used our neighborhoods as an actual social experiment to pump out broken, abused, unprotected children. And I'm going to show you. And that's why I told my brothers and sisters, Elder Lawya, sometimes brothers and sisters have to do themselves a service and travel to understand how far gone we've become here in America or in the Western world in general. Folks, do you think that any of you can go to China or go to East India or Egypt, the Middle East? Do you think you can go over there and dictate their politics? Run some laws into play that will incentivize their women to topple their men and take the right to earn from their man and hamstrung him? Really, believe it or not, spiritually castrate the men to uplift the woman under some crazy equality. You come and try to bring that to any other country, and these people will string you from a light pole. And you know what? The women will lead the charge to string you from a light pole. Check this out, Elder Lawya. One moment. A nation divided against itself cannot stand. They divided us. And now let me show you what's happening in the United States right now. Fair use.
Car since 2022. And on the morning of July 5th, everything was stolen out of my car.
Hey guys, this is me, day 437, living in the car with my dog. At this point, I'm thinking nothing's ever gonna get better. How am I gonna get out of this situation? Millie was the only thing that kept me going for a long time, but it wasn't until I started making videos like this and connecting with you guys that I was finally able to not only get an apartment for me and Millie, but I was able to get a P.O. box so you guys can send us anything that you want, including mail or...
So I'm officially homeless, and I want to show you what it's like traveling around Australia.
Okay, y'all see it. Come with me to Krispy Kreme to get ready for work, because I've been living in my car since a minute. But yeah, just come with me. Hi, I'm doing good. I don't want to be a bother, but I was just wondering, can I use your bathroom to get dressed for work, please? Thank you. No, I'm sorry. I just wanted to make sure so you don't think I'm like doing nothing like weird. Thank you.
We are affording it by living in cars. You see that? That's the world. The world's out there.
I live in my car. I've lived in my car for 9.5 months now, and winter is coming, so how do I keep myself warm during the winter?
Wait, did she just say that winter is coming? She's right, though. Winter is coming for these Jezebels.
No, wait till they you.
I just saw a lot of stuff in your car, and I know some people sleep here. I just wanted to make sure you weren't. I'm just tired of this.
This is Forrest, the Subaru Forester, and this is my home on wheels. This is my pantry, this is my stove, and this is where I cook. This is where I sleep. And to give you an idea of how much space there is. Do you want to know? Oh, yeah, that's what you're doing. Hello. This is my cargo box. This is where I keep all of my outdoor gear. In my passenger seat is where I keep everything that I need readily accessible. So that's my camera bag, my hiking backpack, my toiletries, and my fanny pack.
Lawya,
on the driver's side is where...
The reason I'm showing this because I posed a question. Well, really made a statement in the title. The war that no one is prepared for. A nation that's broken.
Fanny pack. Behind the driver's side is where I keep all of my clothes. That's my dirty laundry.
Welcome to night 1. What the heck? Y'all, I'm in Tulsa, so you know how it goes. You've seen the first 48. But anyway, welcome to night 1 of me living in my car. Because, like...
Elder Lawya.
I don't sleep with the...
This is happening all throughout the United States right now. And the majority of these people have been living the hippie life. They have college debt, hippie life, this carefree, no responsibility. No one can tell you something because you have a degree or educated. And this is what happens when the service class have been replaced by other people. When there's no options left. Now, Elder Lawya, you know we're only seeing the happy parts of this particular. This is straight cope right now. The only thing we're seeing is the cope side of this. We're not seeing the misery. We're not seeing the crying. We're not seeing the children being taken away. We're not seeing having to compromise and give your body away to sustain a few extra days. And why am I showing this? Because we're used to seeing men homeless. But there's something new going on in the United States, folks. Right. And it's only going to get worse.
I don't sleep with a bra on. honestly. And I usually don't sleep with pants on.
Oh, no. We don't try to hear all that. Yeah.
A lot of people are.
Nice.
I don't shower every day like I used to, but I still try to make myself look presentable and not look like I'm living in my car.
Hello, I live inside my 2019 Kia Altima, and here are 5 essentials that I recommend starting your car.
The crappy thing about living in your car with a dog is everything gets messy in every little move that you make. Getting
Lawya,
ready in
she's
a
up
car
in here
is
with
really
a
not
dog.
that bad. You just do everything sitting down like I normally would in a home. I now don't shower every day like I used to, but I still try to make myself look presentable and not look like I'm living in my car.
Hello, I live inside my 2019 Kia Altima, and here are 5 essentials that I recommend starting your car dwelling journey. The next thing is a really thick comforter, or at least layered comforter. I call this the big boy. It's a king size comforter, very thick, keeps me warm even when it has gotten down to 29 degrees in the car, as well as this really fluffy throw blanket.
How do I stay warm living in this car during the winter time? Let's go do it. Keep yourself insulated by getting Reflectix at Home Depot for $10. A big roll, you cut it to the window, and you put it in just like this. You're going to need a sleeping bag, something that'll keep you warm below 30 degrees.
Windows covered. I'm about to show you what it looks like from the outside. So if someone was to walk by my car, walk near my car, this is all they would see. They wouldn't be able to see inside the windows and know that I'm in there sleeping. Now the back window cover is going to be changed. Someone actually cut out fabric for me and put Velcro on it so that I could black out the window with the fabric, but it droops down. So if someone was close enough, they could like peek in my car. They're magnetic. They're super easy to put up on the windows. That was the back window fabric thing that I had going on there. So at night, my bed is on one.
For a Prius or a Tesla. That being said, I do not run my heat all night. I think there's probably been 2 nights total that I have accidentally ran my heat all night just because I fell asleep with it running. I just run my heat for like 20 minutes before I go to bed to warm.
Let's get up and start the day.
Here we are on day 4, and I've got called in to go work at the pub today. That's a 10-hour shift. So we got to get that money. First, as I mentioned, gonna get up, put some pants on because it is chilly outside. Then I'm gonna pack up the car. But before I do all of that, I want to show you where I'm to today. Now, when I share with you guys where I'm to, please keep in mind.
I think you get the point. I think you all get the point. Elder Lawya.
Yes, sir.
Does it sound like those who have been prepped for what's coming, generally? And I'm talking about those who have been not prepped in a good way, but prepped like the proverbial, we going into that time, the proverbial Thanksgiving turkey. So with what I showed initially and where this is going, are the people prepared for what's coming?
Most likely not.
So what I want to hear from the brothers and sisters outright is, what are they doing to prepare? Because I'm going to tell you this right now. And I go back to this, and I'm talking about family and all that. In the back of my family's mind, I believe they truly think that when the stuff hit the fan, they're going to be able to hold on to me like a life raft, and believing that I'm going to guide them through. Okay? When it's been the people in the church that been 10 toes down and doing the work and showing forth not just their support, but their presence when it comes to bringing forth the kingdom of heaven as a body. A lot of people are going to be in a a lot of people who know me is going to be in for a rude awakening. Because you can see they're not preparing, they're not doing anything. And they don't know how much work it took us to get from point A to point B. To them, it just seems like, okay, there's a life raft. But at the end of the day, it's going to be about what you've actually sown in Christ to be protected through this. And I know how generic that sounds, but I'm going to tell you, it's the truth. Christ is the only life raft, and no one is seeking for him. No one is seeking for him. Everyone is thinking that I got this thing coming down the pipeline. If only this one thing happened and everything is going to change. When are people going to wake up and realize America is never going back to its early glory, where out of nowhere a poor man could become rich overnight? Because what? It was so many avenues into being able to make money. And I think because so many people, with the hustle and all that, seeing the opportunity, they believe that this world and being able to actually, get a bunch of money at one time, they believe it was like it was 20 years ago. And for brothers and sisters, that time, and a lot of you see it, it have dried up. I mean, it's, Elder Lawya, it's even blood sport right now in jobs that we used to take for granted. It's blood sport to be able to work retail in hopes to get hired, with so many of the immigrants willing to do it for entry wages. It's blood sport. Man, in the nursing game, I mean, in the nursing field, it has become so saturated. You have people looking at doing things like, okay, maybe I can do some home nurse jobs. Maybe I can come in and get this. They're cobbling together a salary because all the illegals and the East Indians and the Asians are taking over the nurse and doctor jobs in the United States. And I'm seeing this. I'm seeing this. And on top of that's just the financial side of things. There's a serious spiritual erosion in the people. The people are walking rudderless, without any guidance whatsoever. And in their mind, you can't even tell them anything, because when you try to guide them into something that can help them, they know it all. I know what I'm doing, but aren't producing anything. And then there's a spiritual deprivation. And you know what? It's ripe, Elder Lawya, for a serious humbling. And that's what's coming. You see how these girls try to make it cute? I can still do my hair and put on my hat. I showered yesterday. They're homeless and still aren't humble.
Right.
They're still trying to glamorize that low estate, not realizing the plans for when they come and sweep through these cities and see people in their cars. Folks, you're not even going to hear from these people. That's going to be the last day you hear from these people, when those troops come through and see you sleeping in your cars like that. And when they see you out there without any protection, open game. Folks, and I'm looking at these women in particular because some of them look pretty nice, and they are naive to the woman trafficking that have always existed. There was never a time women trafficking wasn't a part of society. A rude awakening is here, and there must be some serious thought when it comes to preparation. brothers and sisters have to stop sitting around believing that things are going to get better and that there's some light at the end of the tunnel just because you were able to do things in yesteryears. We're living in a different world. It's a different world, a different space, and the way to make money now is entirely different than how we used to be able to do it. Entirely. Preparation. What are we going to do? Because hey, it's coming. And I'm going to guess who's will seek. Because guess what? You have some people, Elder Lawya, with controlled neighborhoods where they police their own, they have their own community, their own police. So these particular people have built-in protection where they live. Okay? They have built-in protection. Okay? So while everyone is destabilized, including our people, guess what people will stay constant above the rest? You would never guess. And at the end of it, I'm going to tell you right now, folks, the Bible states when peace and safety happens, sudden destruction cometh upon you. And folks, they're coming after Jacob. And guess what? I'm letting family know and all of that. It seems like everyone have triangulated on me when it comes to my family, when it comes to issues and all of that. And what I'm looking at is, okay, what Sabbath are you serving? What God are you calling on? Folks, the world is feeling it. I'm telling you. And guess what? The people who aren't willing to sacrifice anything at all are going to be looking for you to sustain them. When whatever little we have in preparation that the Most High have given us isn't even going to be enough. It's not even going to be enough for us when everything is said and done. And I'm talking about believers who prepared. We're still going to be lacking. Now, it's not an each man for himself type of deal. It's the body of Christ for one another. And that's a concept they don't understand. And if they and guess what? Because they don't have to sacrifice and know what it is to be a part of something, they'll feel entitled to it just because they know you. So it's not no each man for himself. It's the body of Christ for the body of Christ. And that's a hard stance. It's going to be tough, but that's a stance we're going to have to take. Because if you let people come in entitled and didn't build, the only thing they'll know how to do is to tear it down from the inside. If you don't work, you don't eat. If you don't produce anything and receive anyway, that's erroneous learned behavior. And that's the time we're coming in. I know a lot of people are going to feel a certain type of way about me. I'm talking about family and all who know me. But I'm looking at what you're doing now, not when you are in need and the whole world breaks down and now you're willing to pay attention to get a bowl of rice or to have me save you and pull you through when you could have been there before the prophecies unfolded. Okay? So it's about getting under the protection of the Almighty, getting baptized, repenting for your sins, and understanding that tomorrow isn't promised. And where will I be this Saturday? I will be there for the Feast of Lights. I will be there this weekend for the Feast of Lights. The Feast of Dedication, where the temple was dedicated back to the Most High, and it reminds us to rededicate our vessels back to the Most High, because he'll be the only protection through all of this, folks. Because why? What we see in Russia, that's just a proxy thing that will lead armies to come here to help in assisting to clean up the homeless, quote unquote, if you think so. On top of getting rid of the homeless, certain casualties and illegals, and whoever think that these armies, once they do this, will eventually just go back to where they came from, have another thing coming. So, since we know all this is coming, then what are we to do? We're to pray, serve the Almighty, deal with those in like mind, and operate with those who would like to sacrifice and understand what it is to be in the body of Christ. That's what we're going to do. And then, well, what about everything that's going on? Well, the Bible tell you, right before everything happened, these other nations are going to get a call by their embassies. The same call that they got while over their countries to tell them to come here to pillage America, because America is having a fire sale. Folks, make no bones about it. Everything we see with the millions of people coming into the United States was orchestrated by the governing bodies on the outside of the United States, sending their people here. These were government initiatives. And when it's time, before they pull the plug on America, you're going to see all, just like you had Biden fill up the plane with people from Ukraine, people from India, people from Asia. Hey, it wasn't just busting the border, folks. They were flying people over into the cities, into other cities, and having them bust into the asylum cities. Well, guess what? It's going to be another call. Before things really get tenuous, before bombs are dropped on the United States, these same Gentile nations are going to receive from their embassy a warning to go back to their countries. The same way over in the Middle East, when certain things happen, you have what? The country recalling their citizens back from war zones or out of the way of war zones, understanding what the war game is and what the plan is for the region. So when that happens and we see all these people who is pressing all upon us and they begin to fly out and disappear and you start seeing nobody but us, now, okay. We have churches in other areas, and guess what? It's time to do some missionary work and get out of harm's way. Quite that simple. 515-605-9327. And again, don't forget, the world is a stage. The world is a stage. Zelensky talking with his full chest about the power of Ukraine. In 2016, he was an actor in Ukraine who played a president, the servant of the people. The world is a stage. Here's an episode. There you go right there. President.
Я все понимаю. Но позвонить можно было?
Я думаю, еще позвонят.
Я думаю, совесть надо иметь.
It's theater. And then 2020, while they had you locked up in the house, scared to hug your grandma, he's sitting there at the wall in Israel at a fort, the same fort the Roman armies used to come against our people in Jerusalem in 70 AD, to sign an agreement at the Wailing Wall. The only thing welling is the fact that they killed our people We were the people wailing when the Romans held behind this fort, strategized how to destroy our people in 70 AD. See what was going on? This actor? See? Kabod, Times of Israel. See? This actor. Well, was an actor. He's a president now. Only to be used in a position to funnel all this money to the Ukraine, to have this proxy war that will lead to NATO surrounding Russia and be used as a proxy to one day to be utilized as armies even on the outside of Russia. If they can be used in Russia, they can be used in the United States too. Okay. See how this goes, folks? See how this goes. And then when the troops come over, they're going to be looking for collateral damage, which are the people they intentionally made poor. Just like Kamala says, they're not going back. And folks, neither are we. America isn't going to be that place in which you can actually financially grandize yourself. A matter of fact, it's time to think about and look at how to have whatever you have, be able to take assets and turn it into something tangible, just in case you have to move. Okay? Now, again, I'm not going to make this a full preparation video, but all in all, we're going to go straight from this. All week we're going to be talking about what's going on with this and bringing what? Bringing quantifiable understanding so that people don't panic. That's number one. Okay? Number two, we're going to make sure we give you prophetic understanding, point by point, blow by blow, as we come near to the coming of Christ. Okay? Do not panic. Okay? Do not panic. They want you panicking. What we should look at is how they destroying us from the inside. More so. And we're running into the Hebrew and Bible Academy, the fall of the last empire, week 3, where we'll be talking about, that's right, the promised seed. And I'll be going all into the New Testament, breaking down the truth concerning the promised seed. Who are the promised seed in the earth? They lied and claimed the Israelites are done away with. How are we done away with? We're sitting right here. And on top of that, we're going to show you the birth of the replacement ideology, where the Romans came up with a fake satanic doctrine under the Jesuits called replacement theology. They telling us, oh, we don't know where Israelites at. The church is Israel. Yeah, church is Israel. Then what's going on here? Is that the church? The same people who claim in the church is Israel are supporting these people as Israelis. Right? So make sure y'all getting this academy. We'll be breaking down the mark of the beast. The return of the gods. We're going to be talking about that. The fall of the last empire. And you got it. The fall of the last empire will be the last lesson we do in the academy. Path to the mark, the return of the gods. And the fall of the last empire will be the theme. And of course, we'll be talking about that this week. Part of our symposium, having a special guest will be Dr. Goodman this weekend. And we'll have our guests in the academy, our Lawya academites, those enrollees, be able to ask Dr. Goodman some serious health questions in this academy. So we're going to have that this coming Sunday for those who are in the academy. Now, if for some reason you can't be there this Sunday, it's okay. You can still enroll and still receive the full academy and all of its material. You'll receive it in the email, all the links, so you can still get the serious studied information, the Hebrew, the news, as well as the lesson, even if you're busy Sunday. All right? So still you can enroll and you won't miss a second. Go to historytimes.org to enroll. Okay? One other thing I wanted to say before before we open the lines. We do have support for the church through Cash App when it comes to our weekly broadcast. And that's the one right there on the bottom, $ GOCC report. That helps us here strictly for the podcast and our weekly podcast we do here. You know, whatever support you can give us, it comes to us, okay, with GOCC report. Now, if you were one of the members or others who donate directly to the church, tithes, offerings, whatever the case is, we do have a new Cash App for those who would just like to support the church. We used to have one. We have another one now. So if you're supporting the church, you have tithes, offerings, whatever the case is outside the weekly broadcast, the new Cash App is $ Gathering of Christ. That's the church one. So if there's church members who pay in tithes or whatever, you can do it through here if you don't have a location. $ Gathering of Christ is now the church's Cash App. Now, if you don't have Cash App, it's okay. Go to gatheringofchrist.org. Gatheringofchrist.org under donate, and you'll see many options to support the work. We need your continued support. None of this would be possible without your help. We stand with you. We pray with you, and we know, brothers and sisters, that you're praying for us. All right? So I wanted to put that out there. We do have a way in which you can now support the Gathering of Christ Church outside of the broadcast. $ Gathering of Christ. Now, let's go here. 515-605-9327. What say you? If you have any questions or any points for this particular topic, now is your time to get in. 515-605-9327. Let me call it.
Blog Talk Radio. Welcome to Blog Talk Radio. Please hold and you will be able to listen to the show.
515-605-9327 for those who would like to come in.
Unmuted.
Thank you, Elder Rawchaa. Thank you, Elder Rawchaa. I'll call you soon, Elder Rawchaa. I'll see you this weekend for the Holy Day. Well, it's a memorial. I'll see you there. And yes, we'll be at the church this coming Sabbath for what Jewish people call it Hanukkah, but we know it's the Feast of Dedication. And we're doing it at the proper time according to scriptures, okay? Kayem. 515. Shalom. What say you, sir? How are you?
Oh, pretty good, sir. Yes, sir. All praise to the Most High. Ahai B'Shem Yeshua Walker. Double honor to you, sir, and all the elders and all the leadership of this church. Elder, the first part hit home real hard because I'm actually in the progress of fighting for my son. So, what happened was, my son had him a year and a half previous. So his mom took him back. We went to court, and she gave him back to me again. So instead of me just not filing into the court this time, I actually filed into the court. And they ignored all my filings. They weren't scanning my stuff in. And they basically giving me a hard time. And what I noticed is when I go in there, it's not that many brothers in there. So it's like, it's a bias, it's like the guy was saying, it's a biasness.
Okay, when you say there's not too many brothers there, well, who's there? What persuasion? What ethnicity? Who's
yes,
there?
sir. It's mostly sisters, so-called blacks. They're in there at a high number, and you know, it got to the point so bad to the point where I was given the wrong paperwork documents and mailed the wrong documents and told by sister that she was going to send me the right documents, and I just been getting you know, tossed to and fro, fighting for my son. I still have him now, and it's just been like real difficult because it's like I need like people to back me in a way. So I did create like a TikTok and an Instagram, and you know, I would like for support from the church. You know, as far as like, you know, just a like button. You know what I mean? Just to get the story out there, because you know, he's 9, and he alleged abuse, and he alleged physically and mentally. Got CPS involved, and that, like I told you before, they asked me my background as far as religion, and they closed the case. And, you know, with the civil rights. So it's like, you know what I mean? And come to find out in Maryland, the head of the supervisor that was supposed to make the decision as far as the civil rights is a sister. And she denied the investigation. So it's an uphill battle for me. And I'm just, you know what I mean, just ask for prayers. And, you know what I mean? The TikTok is called Rise for my son, and the Instagram is called Road to Serenity. And it's just been a tough battle. And he's been going to the church. You know, seen the baptism. He knows the Most High name, and he's just a great kid. Savion, what's the Most High name?
Hi.
Yes, sir. And he's, you know what I mean, he studied with me. He actually on the Sabbath, Elder, he said, Daddy, could we come from church? He said, Daddy, could we do a study? And we just went over Jonah. And this is a beautiful thing, Elder. And I just ask, you know what I mean, just everybody to keep us in their prayer. And, you know what I mean, and I'm thinking about the lawyer, but I got all the paperwork filed. You know what I mean, I talked to the supervisor. She said she's going to scan my documentations in. And I talked to another lawyer. They looked it up, and it's still not scanned in. And I got him in January. I got him on the Sabbath day. I had to leave. I didn't go to church and got him. And then on that Monday, following Monday, I went back up there to file in the court to let them know what was going on. And I haven't had a court date set, and it's just been tough. So I just want everybody to keep me in that prayer.
Okay, you're in my prayer, brother. May the Most High bless you. The young man sounds strong, and just keep us posted. But you did put it out there, and hopefully, you know, we'll support it. Brothers and sisters out there, we'll support what you got going on, okay? We pray that it worked for your son.
Yes, sir.
All right, bless you.
Yes, sir. The water, sir.
In the book.
Oh.
I mean, I know a situation, you know, a brother I care about, and I'm not going to put no names out there. But he had a situation where the woman was in straight contempt. He filed papers and everything, and she didn't even show up. And the judge just laughed at him, he's like, but it's contempt. The judge was like, just laughing at him. Like, it was almost as if the judge was looking at him saying, you don't know what this is? Like, she's not in contempt. Well, she didn't show up. How can you have her warrant for arrest to come, and then say she's not in contempt when I show up? And then so Yana, so what are we gonna do with this? Well, I'm just gonna throw the case out. What case? The contempt. That's what the judge told the brother. It's like, oh, you thought you get due process. You a black man, don't you know that? Welcome to the real world. Tamara has a comment.
Shalom.
How you doing, Tamar?
I'm blessed by the best, and his name is Lawya.
All right, down. All praises be to the Most High. What say you?
Well, Elder, I was thinking with so much going on, it reminds me of a lesson that Elder Rawchaa did called The Year of the Poly Crisis, and how we have so many overlapping crises being committed by the powers that shouldn't be.
Yeah.
Such as the war, the rumors of wars, and then I started thinking about how the Bitcoin is going crazy right now. If you follow cryptocurrency, I do so.
When you
Bitcoin is
okay, when you say it's going crazy, do you mean it's up right now?
Yeah, yes, highest it's ever been, like 95,000.
Interesting. All right.
Yes. So so while Bitcoin is going up, everybody's being distracted by, the possibility of, getting rich through Bitcoin. But then I just saw something on Twitter that made me think and say, wow, while all of these crises going on, you got Bitcoin at an all-time high, other cryptos going, up as well. It was saying that Bitcoin requires a lot of energy. So much that with the surge of it takes a lot of energy to create the coin. And they said with the demand being like it is for Bitcoin, it requires more energy to create a token than some of its other competitors, right? And they said that the demand is so, so high that it could actually take down your power grid. And it said, and I was thinking about that Bible scripture when it was saying that, there will be a time where we have some, days of darkness. And I said, wouldn't it be interesting if the Bitcoin brought the darkness, which is what the Twitter post was alluding to, right? But I don't think they were tying it to biblical prophecy.
No.
And then I couldn't help but think. Remember that movie that came out called The Purge, election year?
Yeah.
And I said, during the purge, remember they did all of these deeds in the dark, and they even brought in the immigrants. The immigrants are,
I'm still trying to figure out where you going with this. I don't see where's a common thread that's tying this.
Well, I'm just saying that with the purge election year, we are in an election year, and so it's just be interesting to see where they're going with. I'm thinking about the movie and how the movies always have the predictive programming, and I was just wondering how or why that movie was created. And then with all of these current events overlapping and the poly crisis going on, it'd just be interesting to see how all of this shapes out. But
okay,
we all Ahaya is our banner and our safety net. But it'd just be interesting. I was just thinking about all of those things, and that movie came to mind. And I said, oh, wow, we are in an election year, and it's winter time. I was just thinking it'd just be interesting to see how all of this shapes out. Okay. Everybody's looking at the shiny object of the Bitcoin, but there's so many other things that we need to be focused on.
All right, sister. Okay. Great point. Let me get to the next call. All right, Tamar? All right.
Sure.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. It's a little, it's a little over there, but I'm sure there's something to do with, they usually do their predictive programming with the purge. And folks, it's nothing like Hollywood can have you looking at the purge and you're looking at the extremes of it while being purged, eating popcorn. You're sitting there looking at the movie like, oh my God, this is out. And then here it is, you look in your neighborhood and everyone has been replaced after a pandemic. So yes, the purge been on when it comes to our people, but I understand what you're saying there. who's this? Shabaya has a comment. Shabaya, shalom.
Hello.
Yeah, Shabaya, how are you?
Hi, how are you? It's Chabala. But that's okay. Yeah, I do have a comment. First of all, thanks for taking my call.
Yes.
And it's a blessing to be a part of all of you. I wanted to speak about the end part of your segment. I am a registered nurse.
Okay, where you from, Shabaya?
In New Jersey.
Where you from?
Originally, I'm from Zambia.
You from Zambia? Okay, all right. Okay, so the end part about how it's blood sport in the nursing field right now.
Yes, yes.
Okay, talk to us about it.
So, when you're growing up in Zambia, the things that they do teach you a lot is about spiritualism, right? And they teach you how to protect yourself and all those things. I've noticed that a lot of the immigration that's coming in from the southern border, the elders have always told us every region has a principality over it. And all these principalities have little tiny segments of these little tiny demons that do the groundwork.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're bringing in people. The Catholic Church has been losing a lot of ground with people, which means the necromancy spirit is losing ground. It needs to replenish its soldiers. So you have a lot of these people coming in who practice a lot of necromancy from the southern countries, from down under. They're coming in with their Santa Maria. They're coming in with the Cinco de Mayo days and everything, and reinforcing into the Catholic Church.
Yeah.
And I noticed that a lot of them go into nursing. Because nursing is a point where you go into where people are, number one, they're very trusting. They trust a nurse. You're a nurse, you go out there and you're like, okay, you need to do this, eat this kind of food, do this kind of, to get yourself better, go see this doctor. You're not going to question a nurse or a doctor on that point.
Yeah.
And so, so, they come into nursing. It's a big access to dying, weak people. People who sometimes are given this diagnosis, they can't believe God has done this to them. And it's an easy gateway to get to a person's spiritual being. And people need to be aware of that. It's just not, it's a facade to just say, okay, these people are coming in, and people just don't they're looking at it on a political side. They're not looking at it from a spiritual perspective.
Well, let me tell you, sister, on that point, you're absolutely right. There's nothing new under the sun. During the Dark Ages, they did the same thing. The Roman Catholic Church during the Dark Ages, during the time where King James was in play. King James was a black man. You know that, right?
Yes.
Well, when King James was resisting the Jesuits in the Satanic Catholic Church, right? Let me show you this. There's an actual book I have over here where, let me close this real quick. Hold up. Where King James and his aunt were witch hunting, because the Catholic Church will bring in witches as nurses, and they would poison and do all types of weird craft to erode the integrity of King James' kingdom. So they would bring the women in, but really they had these practices that would destroy society. And that's what you see when we see LGBTQ, when we see in our communities, the AB thing with how they want to get rid of babies and all that. And if need be, to become the poisoners against the papacy's enemies. So that's why there was a burning at the stake of witches. I have this article I did years ago, and you're right on. It's called Witches, Midwives, and Nurses, A History of Woman Healers. Now, this was published by the Feminist Press in 1973. The Feminist Press. So there's a lot of witches, a lot of feminists who are feminists. And they believe they have the power over life and death under certain circumstances. They're on a power trip. But they all come in with a lot of them come in with dark arts, witchcraft. They come from witch covens and all of that. And these people be right around our children. They be maids, they be house cleaners. But really, it talks about the history of these. The history of nurses is the fact that they were witches first, before there was any such word as. In the Bible, you have midwives. So again, what did Pharaoh try to do? Pharaoh tried to get women who was the childbearing, who would bring forth the children as midwives, to kill the sons. Nurses, because they know nurses are in very vulnerable or serious trusting situations when it comes to life or death. They're there. So in ancient times, the Rome said,
I'm a hospice nurse myself.
Go ahead. Rome said that Rome would use them. And guess what? King James started giving these witches that work. He started burning these women. He found out if they found the tattoo on you that showed that you were a witch, he was icing them. Hey, string her up on a pole, and we're going to make sure she get that work. That's how it was done in ancient times. King James wasn't playing. It's to a point where this is where the phrase witch hunt comes from. Now, getting back to your point, they're not just letting any old people over here in America. These people are coming with the dark arts, like the papacy was sending after us to destabilize King James's kingdom. So you're right on point. They're not no normal people. Now you got some people who just come here to get a job. Okay, I'm not going to just throw some shade on everybody, because some people are coming here for an opportunity, but a large number of these people are bringing in their dark craft with them. Okay. Yes. When you see in Santa Maria, when they be these different parades, festival, when they be running around with this skeleton bone looking like Mary, and it's really look like a witch. That's really Semiramis or Astereth, who is Mary of the Catholic Church. It's the same deity, the same goddess. Yeah. So yeah, they're bringing that here. You're absolutely right. Anything else before we go? You say you are a what?
I'm a hospice nurse.
Oh my goodness.
So I know.
No, I'm saying I'm saying that have to be a hospice nurse. I'm gonna tell you. Let me say this. That have to take a toll on your spirit.
It does. It really does. And I recently switched because I was just so tired of bedside nursing. And even when I was doing bedside nursing, I've been a nurse for 24 years. And so I started off first in Pennsylvania, the building that hired me first. This is where I got to learn that a lot of nurses practice what they call Wicca. And they're like, oh, it's just light, it's just nice, and we just do crystal balls and everything. But their pet names, my boss's pet name was Lucifer. Well, why are you calling your dog Lucifer? But anyway, I worked in that building for 9 years. I ignored them. I just, kept going my own way. And then after a while, I moved to New Jersey from Pennsylvania. And I got into, again, just working. But now the last 1 year, I've worked as a hospice nurse just to give myself a break from bedside nursing. But I noticed there's a lot of people that are practicing voodoo in the hospice as hospice nurses. And it just doesn't sit well with me. Sometimes it's like, if you do that, do it elsewhere, but don't bring it to your patients. But then I noticed also the month of October, this is the first time I'm working with them in October. We had so many people die in October, and it hasn't slowed down.
Well, sister, we're going to pick this up. Let's pick this up this coming Friday if you call in, okay? I'm interested in hearing about this. I'll pick it up Friday, all right? Thank you, Chabaya.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
And that leads me to that the Bible says that, hey, we're in a spiritual war. We wrestle not with flesh and blood. We wrestle not with flesh and blood, folks, but principalities and powers and the workers of darkness in high places. And yes, the Catholic Church is behind a lot of this, right? Timothy 1:18 says, this charge I commit unto thee, son Timothy, according to the prophecies which went before thee, that thou be them mightest war a good warfare. You have to understand we're fighting against dark forces. And I'm glad the sister is letting us know that there's a large number of people in the nursing field that are just whacked out of their mind, straight witches. A matter of fact, here's something, pagan news for you. Pagan news, This is some good journalism for you here. Paganism. Healthcare providers share how their pagan practices nurtured them through the pandemic. Now, can you imagine one of these witches telling you in all white, while wearing all white, saying, please, you have to go through the hazmat system. And a matter of fact, you can't see grandmama. You can't see grandmama because, she going to be with me. See? There it is right here. Whoop, there it is. So they be celebrating their stuff. But that's as much as I'm going to say on that right now, But anyway, let's get to the next call. Hannah has a question. Yes, Hannah.
Yeah, hi. Hi, my elder. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. Yeah, my question is, after we had the conversation and you put Ethiopian Learn the Truth video,
yes,
a lot of Ethiopians saw that, and I had a long talk with my priest, Orthodox Tewahedo. Ethiopian Orthodox Tewahedo is different than anyone. We don't eat pork. It's not like Egypt. It's not like Russian. It's different. And we combine the Old Testament and the New Testament. That's why we call it Tewahedo. Tewahedo means oneness.
Yeah, but here's the deal, though.
I was baptized.
Here's the deal.
Excuse me?
This is what I'm telling you, though. I wanted you to have this discussion showing your different perspective on a separate broadcast. Because there's no way, if you put something out there, and just say something out there that you may deem okay, but yet it's incorrect. We have thousands of people here that could actually look into something that can be detrimental.
Okay.
So,
my question. Okay, why don't I go to my question? Have you read Ethiopian Tewahedo book or not? That's all.
Yes, I've read it.
You read them?
Yeah.
So, what gives you the Israelite, Hebrew, whatever you call yourself, authority on Tawahdo Ethiopian Orthodox, because we are in the Bible too. We are the children of Melchizedek. We are the children of Abraham, Keturah.
Sister.
So
okay.
I want to know why
Okay.
you want me to baptize. That's really insult for us. That's all. We can continue, but
okay.
I did my homework.
Are you going
I
to
did my
allow?
homework, but I want you to speak with the Ethiopian Orthodox priest before you do this program, because for me, when I came to America, because the Bible is for all of us, I've been going to African American church since I came to this country because I like their gospel. But you gave me homework. I did my homework. I just wanna ask you go to speak with our priest and priest. But I'm not going to baptize another baptized because I was baptized when I was 80 days old.
Okay,
So
sister, slow
I
down.
expect my
Sister, slow down. Because you're going from one thing to
No,
the
I am slow down. I am slow down
okay.
because it was an insult. Ethiopian learn the truth. What truth do we learn? What truth do we learn? I mean, my brother, I'm speaking to you because you are my brother.
I'm going to put you on hold, sister. You can't do that. You can't just run a conversation by yourself and not have me come in to ask you certain points before you deflect into an entirely different conversation. That's not right. So let me ask you a question, all right? Lord have mercy. So I had to put you on pause, Hannah, because you're talking without allowing me to ask you a question.
Go ahead.
So you said you spoke with a priest that I can speak with,
yes.
Which is your priest. Yes?
Yeah.
And is your priest in Ethiopia or in the United States?
No, you can speak any priest that are in Washington, D.C., the highest priest. You can call them. You can speak to them.
No.
Yes,
Listen.
why not?
Listen. The reason why I wanted you to come on in interest is because I wanted to see where some of what we believe aligns. Because there is some truth about Israelites going into Ethiopia. That is not, there's no question about that. But the doctrine of the priesthood you're talking about, some of it is correct, some of it is incorrect. So I wanted to have that conversation with you.
What makes you incorrect? What makes you incorrect? King James was written in 1600, but in Ethiopian Bible was written in Ge'ez. We do not need any translation, but you make a little Ethiopia.
Sister,
Ethiopia is big. Ethiopia is in Bible.
Sister, why are you lifting yourself up like that?
Ashamed.
Sister, you're going way out of the pocket right now. Just relax.
No.
All right? So this is what we're going to do. I'm going to call you outside of this. We'll discuss. I'll get some talking points.
There is nothing wrong about Ethiopia. You don't have to call me. Ethiopia, we are children of God.
May Christ be with you, okay? What you're not going to do is try to say that Ethiopian and the doctrine of Ethiopia is beyond the doctrine that comes from the Bible. The Bible was translated out of the Hebrew text. Hebrews are Israelites. Hebrews are Hebrews from Eber. Ethiopians are Cushites. See, I have a problem. I'm going to bring you back in a second, Hannah. I have a problem with you coming lately into something that came from us, seeking to become the authority over something that you wouldn't have anything concerning the Bible if it wasn't for Hebrews. So we're going to ask you that first. Do you know that Israelites are from Eber and the original text come from Hebrews and not Cushites? That's the question.
English, no one comes.
Are you
in front
still
of
talking?
Ethiopia. Because I was so ashamed. I'm not even going anymore to African American church anymore. That's paganism.
Sister, you are unruly. You're out of the pocket, and you need some humbling. All right.
But I love you, my brother.
Hannah,
you know what?
Hannah.
You know I love you.
Hannah, where's
you brought me back to my
Hannah,
Orthodox.
stop
you brought me back to my Orthodox.
Stop
From now
overspeak.
on, I'm not going African American.
Lord have mercy. I was about to ask her to put her husband on the phone, but no, it ain't gonna happen. Peace. May the Most High be with you. Timothy has a question. Lord have mercy. Oh, I got the patience of Job right now.
Elder.
Lord have mercy, boy. I'm gonna tell you, she raised all the way up. Don't be talking about her Ethiopia now. But these Cushites, and some I'm starting to believe that that's where the word Cush come from. Hopefully they're not over there smoking Kush. Timothy, you have a question.
Yes, I was just wanted to know, what is your criteria for establishing a church in another city? Is it based on the number, or is it following a? When I grew up in church,
what city and state are you in?
Start churches. Pardon?
What city and state are you in?
I'm in San Diego, and I'm about an hour and a half out of Pomona, which is where I had gone, but it takes me so long to drive there.
Well,
my wife and I can't go.
Here's the criteria of a church in San Diego, and we're going to set up one there. The criteria is we appoint a deacon to come there, right? And when we get a certain number of people that congregate on the Sabbath, we use the church funds to actually establish a small gathering there once we get to a certain number.
How do you establish the number without having people aware of the potential to gather?
Okay, well, you're gathering. You're part of the Church of California, right?
Yeah.
And are you asking, Tim, whether or not we want to set a church up in San Diego?
That's correct. That's what I would like, because
well, let's do it.
Worship with the believers,
brother. Let's do it. So
Brother Zagar is the one.
No, this is what I'm gonna tell.
Listen, he reaches out to us.
Sir, you're speaking to me right now. I'm here to bring resolve. I'm here to answer. I'm here to heed your call. I understand. No, listen. I'm gonna tell you how we're gonna do this. Right? I'm not gonna deny if it's needed. What I'm gonna say, no. So, hey, you're here. You want a church in San Diego, and I say, let's do a church in San Diego. So what I'll do, I'll get Elder Rawchaa to call you. We'll link in with Luke in California, and we'll make it happen.
Okay.
Right? So let me get this done now. Hold on. See how easy that was?
Yeah.
I'm not here to stop Christ's work. Thank you. Let me see. Hold on. Timothy, San Diego. How long you been into work?
Oh boy, I've been part of GOCC for 3 years now.
3 years, okay.
But following Christ for most, if not all of my life.
Sound like all of us. I'm just saying the church in general. 3 years.
Oh, okay. Church in general all my life.
No, I'm just talking about this church, Gathering Christ Church. 3 years, right?
Well, the past 3 years, yes.
Okay, good. Hold on.
Part of the academy that long.
Thank you. All right, so we're not going to procrastinate on this. I'm going to get your rock on it, and let's see what we can do in San Diego.
I'm excited.
I'm equally excited. Thank you, my brother. All right, got you. Right? I got you now, Tim, so I'll tell you what, get ready.
All All right.
All right.
I'm sure my wife would love it as well because we need to socialize.
Word is bond. Thank you, my brother.
All right. God bless.
Boy, I tell you, Hannah, she called, want to give me a piece of her mind. I'm like, I just want to come to a consensus. I want to just come to some common ground here. Lord, she came on boy, hey. How dare you say anything other than what I believe about Ethiopia? Hey. She said last week that she's a Cushite. She's from Ham. I'm like, okay. So if you think, if we're not going to allow Esau to become the authority to tell us what to do because we are the original Hebrews, and Esau is our brother. He's actually a Hebrew. You think I'm going to minimize the worth of the Bible to accept something from Cushites? Cushites aren't even in the Israelite family. It's through Christ that you actually have some level of entry if you don't boast against the natural branches. But they come in all proud as if it was about them. And that's the problem we have even with the Edomites out there who will come and think they can teach us something when it's not about them. What's up with these Gentiles seeking to take over what belonged to us and our forefathers? But yet we can't say nothing about their culture. We can't say nothing about what they are proud about without some pushback when it comes to their history and what they've accomplished. I'm going to tell you, the world went mad. Everybody wants to be in the place of God's people and not respect God's people. That day is over. Okay, there is no Ethiopian Bible. When the Bible comes from Hebrew scrolls, anything the Ethiopians have concerning our history came from the Hebrews. Lord have mercy. And that's why Paul said that even though we love teaching the Gentiles and letting them know that there's an opportunity for you to follow the truth, since Ham, Shem, and Japheth was on Noah's Ark, but he made sure to say, listen, you can have entry if you follow Christ, but you're not to boast against the natural branches. You're not supposed to come in as an Ethiopian and think it's about you. When there's no Ethiopian within the 12 tribes of Israel. All due respect. Now, I do respect all ethnicities and all nations. But like the white man going to come lately and tell us what we should think about the Bible that belongs to us and our forefathers. I mean, they got to be out of their minds. See, we're doing some get right going forward. Okay? The disciples were Israelites who taught Gentiles. We're not going to let you come in the back doors in Ethiopian talking about your Ethiopian priest. See, and that's why Miriam raised up. Moses brought an Ethiopian woman up in there, and she was like, well, ain't no good Israelite woman. But she wasn't supposed to boast or come against a man of God. That's why the Most High punished Miriam. But Miriam seen also the brazen arrogance that was going on. Like, well, hold up. You know Moses belongs to us, right? So these nations come in, and then they come in and try to disrespect and take over. Those days are done. Okay? You forget about that. I respectfully have a discourse with you, or even a conversation. I'll hear you respectfully. But I'm not going to let you come in with some authority, because the authority was always on this side. We're the children of Israel, and we're back. And we're not ceding no ground to any other people anymore, because when you cede ground to people that don't appreciate you actually giving them the gospel, they believe they have the right to take over. Nah, Hannah, we ain't rolling like that. Hey, Samuel.
Shalom, Elder Rawchaa. How you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm getting tired. I'm ready to go to sleep. Talk to me.
I got you. I'm not going to be long. I appreciate you taking my call. I just had a quick comment about the video that you mentioned, about the homelessness that's on the rise here for the females in America.
Yeah.
And I remember, yes, sir. I remember seeing that, and it brought back to my remembrance about the Patreon lesson that you had did, and you had said you had no idea about, the as far as like, the hatred, as far as, the discourse between, male and female here in America. Yeah. And one clip, one of my friends had sent me, he sent it to me a while ago, and I know we've had many topics on it, but it just never crossed my mind to bring it up until now. It was a sister that was on TikTok, and she was explaining on TikTok, it was a video clip that she had did, and the sister came out and said verbatim, she had said, well, sisters, if you want to get with white men and other races of men, one thing you're going to have to understand is that you're going to have to be on point, because they're not going to tolerate the stuff that we force, black men to put up with. That's what she said. That was on it. And then watching the video like what you had showed tonight, it was so shocking, and you made a good point when you had said like how they're still being haughty and arrogant, and they're homeless, and no one's coming to aid and to help them. Because, see, I would be considered a millennial because I'm 30 plus, and then that generation from the ones that you showed, that's around the Gen Z era. So with that being said, that would be my generation's, wives. And it goes to show, the moral decay of America, because that's what we would have to pick from to be suitable mates and everything. So for them to be homeless now and things haven't even broken down, they're really going to be in trouble, when all hell breaks loose upon this earth. So that's the only thing I wanted to share concerning that.
Well, great point, my brother. And, hey, we can only pray. Hopefully they'll wake up from their delusion. And I believe the internet have deluded people into this false reality that really doesn't play out in the real world. And hopefully they'll wake up, right, because they have their moment to be seen on camera. They make that their real world when that's not any observable reality. They get their little pride kick from people commenting or liking whatever they're dealing with, sleeping in their cars. But the reality of the matter is they need to wake up, because what's coming, guess what? When they snatch these phones away and there's no technology, what's left? So we can only pray. We can only pray. Well, thank you, my brother.
Absolutely, because yeah.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. You have the last word.
Oh no. I'm sorry about that. And just and nothing like you had said, because it also brings up another good thing is like, because to show you how male and male and females need each other, how the woman is the man's helpmeet and things of the nature, where the women need the males in return. Because women think for the here and the now, but a male looks at the long-term game. They haven't looked at the fact that, okay, what's going to happen concerning this if, the power was to go out. And then you can't go in these places and get water, get resources, get food, things of that nature. So now you're stuck out on the street all by yourself, and the military and the armies are at the door.
Hey, brother, you're right on it. Hey. The reality check.
It's really something to be taken very seriously.
Thank you, my brother. Hey, the reality is, the reality check is already here. But some people, they just want to deal with a cognitive dissonance. They rather not believe the reality, the observable reality, which is their life. They rather live in fantasy land because, the truth of their existence is so grim and depressing. They'd rather just live in TikTok land. But guess what? All of that will soon come to an end. And hopefully they get it together and understand, sisters in particular, just you talking about sisters, the importance of having a man there to protect you. Okay? People are going to, hey, we'll see. Sean has a question.
Shalom, Elder.
How you doing, Sean? Shalom.
I'm doing well. So I'm calling to because I wanted to join the body and get baptized, me and my family.
Okay.
And we're in Wisconsin, and we reached out through email many times to Chicago body, and we can't seem to get a response back.
Okay, don't worry about it. I got you, Sean.
All right, thanks a lot. Appreciate
And where you from?
Wisconsin, Pleasant Prairie, just right over the border.
Okay.
Of Illinois.
Okay, so you were able to go to Chicago?
Yeah, it's not too far. I mean, like 45.
Okay, that's
an
good.
hour.
That's good. Hold on, let me put your name down. Let me have you, Sean. Hold on, Sean. Baptism. All right. I'll get this to the brother. Aparium over there. He's a great brother, and we'll reach out and make sure we get your family baptized, okay?
All right. Thank you so much. And I just want to say thank you for everything you do. And we enjoy the academy. We've been with you guys for like 5 academies so far.
Thank you.
And we're in this one right now too. So
okay. Well, it's gonna be exciting this weekend. So I hope to see. I can't wait for this Sunday. So I hope to hear you there. Come on through.
All right. Thanks a lot.
All right. Bless you.
Shalom.
Shalom.
Bless you.
You know what I noticed? And you know, I don't believe it's anybody's fault. I believe it's part of the programming. I wonder if I might be wrong, right? I wonder if I was a white man, would she have allowed me to actually speak if I was a white man? Just throwing that out there. And if what I'm thinking is correct, Hannah, if you're listening to this, I really think that you need to really check yourself. Okay? Because what I was going to go into is the fact that, and I'm going to show you what I was going to go into. I wanted you to come into the broadcast not for me, but for yourself. That's why I reached out to you. Because what I wanted to talk about right? And I'm going to show you this. I wanted to talk about these Ethiopian studies by Stephen Kaplan. And this is actually a journal. This is actual academia. Coercion and Control by Stephen Kaplan. He's a Jewish guy who wrote a literature paper on the sterilization that's been going on. When the story broke in 2012 about Depo-Provera, the birth control that was going on with a lot of Ethiopian women who needed citizenship in order to live in the state of Israel. So I wasn't going to speak of something more doctrinal than to be there for you to say, well, listen, not only are our sisters suffering over here in America and being coerced into all types of birth control and sterilizations to certain degrees, that happens to Ethiopians who are targeted to serve white people in Israel. And I wanted to discuss geopolitically that particular understanding to let you know that you're being taken advantage of, victimized by by a lot of these, I would say imperialists, these colonists, and that I'm on your side, and through the Spirit of the Almighty, I can help guide you into truth, that leads to proper judgment against the synagogue of Satan. So I was going to pull up the white papers and show you, listen, let's have a conversation about how Ethiopian women must compromise themselves for the white man and really have nothing to say when it comes to Esau, who's victimizing them over there. Right? I was here to protect you. I was here to be an ally against the injustices of even the Ethiopian women, even though I'm an Israelite. See? So that's why I posed the question. I wonder if she would have allowed me to have a word edgewise if I was a white man. And Hannah, if you're listening to this, if the answer is no, you would have been the same, I think that's a disingenuous answer. I believe you would have been silent because you're probably conditioned to be silent when white people are talking. All right? But, you know, it's a shame. 443 area code. This is really my last call for this evening.
Shalom, Elder.
How are you doing today?
I'm blessed. How are you this evening?
I am blessed by the Almighty. Talk to me.
I was just calling in because my husband and family and myself have been a part of the Philadelphia body for a few years now, mainly virtually, but we have gone in person a few times.
Great.
And the Sabbath word that you spoke on really spoke to me about my true purpose. I've been homeschooling my first grader and kindergartner, and I have a lot of resources and knowledge about the process. And I remember a few lessons ago, you spoke about wanting to get some type of schooling together for the body. And I was just calling to see how I could be a part of that and share basically the resources and knowledge that I have.
Okay. Where's your husband?
He is home. He is asleep right now. He supports our family financially, so he has to work in the morning. So I've stayed up to call in and wait and speak to you.
Okay, now are you both live in Philadelphia?
We are on the outskirts of Philadelphia, like the main line area.
Where at? Near City Line Avenue?
No, we're in Radnor.
Radnor, okay. Hold on. Okay, I know where you are. Okay, you in Radnor. All right. So let me get your, what's your name?
Chanel.
Chanel. And your husband's name?
Mark.
Mark. Okay. And when will be a good time to call you and your husband? I'd rather your husband be there when we call. When is a good time?
I understand that. He is typically home after 5 p.m. every day, so that would work.
All right. So we'll reach out to you and see what we can come up with. All right? Because our children definitely need it.
Thank you.
All right?
They really definitely do.
All right.
Yes.
Shalom.
Thank you.
All right.
Shalom.
Shalom. All right. Unfortunately, this is the last call for this evening. 561 area code. The last call, and I'll take some calls. I will do Patreon around 1 p.m. this coming Friday, so I hope to see you all there. Open discussion for Patreon this coming Friday. 561 area code. Shalom. Okay, there is no 561. All right. All right. Well.
Shalom. Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah. You was about to get the hook on that one, young man. But the floor is yours.
fellow brother Pa Alu from the Florida body.
Blessings.
And I was hesitant. What are you going to say?
No, floor is yours.
Oh, yeah. The water. I was just going to say thank you for this beautiful lesson. I'm kind of echoing off of what the sister shared just now about opportunity. Now, I'm hesitant, right, because I don't want to come on here like promoting anything other than just sharing what my experience has been, because I know that towards the end of the broadcast, you were talking about the struggles with jobs right now and how it's really tough for a lot of people, and all praises to the Most High, but I've kind of been on the outside of that. Now, I am still experiencing my own trials, but in the sense of walking in faith and full commission, right? So I'm in the insurance field, which I love when you start talking about your past and, you know, your experiences that you've had in that field as well, too. But here's the thing. So I'm surrounded by people who are literally making people's annual incomes every other week, right? And I'm learning from these people. And, you know, with that, that's given me the opportunity to be able to give to the church in a major way. Now, mind you, Elder, I've been bamboozled in the Christian churches. Now, my spirit, though, always felt this restriction where I'm in the churches. Yeah, you know, y'all praise and worship is feel good and all that, but I never felt compelled to tithe because my spirit was like, something's off, and I'm not fully convicted in giving, you know, my seed, if you will, to this church or this mission or whatever the case may be. But now I understand. Again, you guys have made my entire past, through the Most High, obviously, right? You guys have given my entire past context to where now I know why I couldn't move in certain scenarios, or, you know, things just like, it wasn't as flowing as it is now. Let's just say that. So I'll freely give to you guys, you know, whenever I get increase. But again, when you're in the full commission lifestyle, it is literally every day you wake up and it's go to the land and I will show you, Abraham. So this is a journey where it's like, I'm making more money than I've ever made, but it's keeping me righteous, because if I'm off, I don't even expect sales. I don't expect blessings from the Most High. It's going to be a week of chastisement and getting me right. You know what I'm saying? So again, I'm just putting it out there that, you know, I have the opportunity to build teams and to put people on. You just need to get your insurance license, etc. And then the training's all there. Now, I will say again, in these Gentile organizations, as you know, they will naturally teach you what at least they in their mind has categorized as this is just part of sales. But for me, I've always had that integrity to where it's like, I'm not a salesperson. I just happen to be good at sales by simply expressing the value of a certain product. And if you see it, you see it. If you don't, you don't. And a lot of my sales come from people skills and connection and things of that nature, you know? So yeah, you know, you can be in an arena where most people just write it off as like, oh, like some people, they'll just say insurance is a scam overall. And I'm like, that doesn't even make sense. I feel like that's like saying Kanye is crazy. It's like, if you don't understand at least some angle of where he's coming from, you're just going to label it as crazy. That's easy. That's very simpleton mentality. But you can basically be in an arena where you can do the right thing as long as you have the right morals and principles. And with us being Yasharallah, I could just imagine I've already had like the Most High just drop in my mind, like, yo, if you can get Yasharallah on this same page and, you know, everyone's able to make their own, you know, incomes and not have to be clocking in for somebody, you know, I have more time than ever to read my Bible, you know, plug into you guys' broadcast, etc. It's like we're on the path to that Black Wall Street, if you will, or, you know, just being Israel again, where we don't need, you know, other nations and we can be independent. So I yield with that, brother. I appreciate the time. Like I said, I don't mean to, I was really hesitant to call in because I don't want to use the platform to aggrandize or anything like that. You know, I respect you guys too much. I'm just putting it out there that, you know, we don't need to be in the woes of the world where everyone's like, oh, jobs and it's so hard, et cetera, et cetera. It's like, it doesn't have to be, you know, this is our rising. So we should be stepping into positions where we actually have to really act on our faith, because that's the last thing I'll say. How much faith, and this I would ask myself, how much faith, Paul, do you really have if you know you're getting a paycheck next week? You know what I mean? Versus I got to step out. I got to be brave. I got to be courageous. And it's literally yielding my spirit to the Most High. So anyways, the water, brother.
Well, the water to you. And what real quick, what area of insurance are you in? Accident, health, life, annuities, what?
Yeah, great question. So I have a 215 license, so I'm able to do health, life, and annuities. I primarily focus on life. I have the option to get different leads, so I can get leads for like
okay, no, you don't have to go through the whole job description. I understand. I've been an insurance guy for years, growing up. But I just needed to know accident, health, life, and annuities.
Yeah, life, primarily life.
Okay.
Mortgage protection, things of that nature.
Okay, all right. Did I put your number down before?
I don't think so, but we've definitely spoken before. But I'd be happy to give my number.
And you're from California, right?
No, I'm from Florida. I'm under Elder Nathaniel.
Okay, good. All right, let me have your name.
Pa'alu, so P-A space capital A-L-I-E-U.
All right.
If you ever see Fog Fitness, FOG Fitness, that's me in the chat showing love.
All right. Thank you, my brother. Thank you. Well, I appreciate you. I'll be reaching out to
right,
you soon. I got a few ideas we can talk about. So thank you, my brother, and welcome to the fold. And let's get it. All right?
The water, Elder. Shalom.
Shalom. And thank you all. And thank you, Elder Rawchaa, for holding it down. This concludes our broadcast for today. And yes, through the Spirit of the Almighty, brothers and sisters, this is how we grow from the grassroots. Bring it again, the children of Israel. And again, yes, Babylon the Great is fallen. But you know what? I thank the Most High. Israel is rising. In the name of Christ, I am Elder Rawchaa from the Gathering of Christ Church, of the Gathering of Christ Church. And Elder Lawya, thank you again for assisting me. And I'll see you this weekend for the memorial, the Feast of Dedication. And with that, I'm going to say Shalom with the children of Israel. And guess what? We're back. Have a great evening. We're blessed by the best, and his name is Ahaya. Good night. The Arabs and Africans told us. Shalom.
Together our wives and children then sold us. In the belly of these great ships we traveled in fear. By the rivers of Babylon we found our brothers here.